come to order Wednesday, January 28th, 2015, 7 o'clock. Please rise, pledge allegiance, stand for a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. And that the minutes of the meeting are being recorded to aid in the preparation of those minutes. Executive session, we had none since the last session, since our last meeting. And this time brings us to the recognition of visitors. I had a request for Mr. Beck from East Pennsboro Ambulance Service down here. Met with him here this morning, and this is a follow-up. If people remember back, I think in December or November, when Marysville asked us to send a representative in regards to this is some of the information Brian. He just gave me these today, and that part of it. What they're doing is we have ambulance service up to Burley Road has been provided by Marysville that's had their ambulance down here in the past. Now they're going away with it, you know what I'm saying? And so I had met with him previously, and I told him I'd like to see some documentation on what the calls were and whatnot. And he said he'd produce that. And he did, and you see there on this this schedule right here, we're coming to, they answer calls to Burley Road. But out of all of them, there's only one or two there. Most of them were Sawmill, Cove Road, Susquehanna Hill Road, 25 Cove Road, Kingmore, etc. So we really had all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I think he said later on, it shows back here on the others, that we had a total of 40 some into Penn Township. So those have come up here and they've served evidently for other reasons. Now Greg was at the meeting down at Marysville down here, and I'm going to tell everybody I was surprised. I did not know that portion of it down there was served by Marysville, not our EMS. It was totally all new to me. Somehow along the line I had missed that. But they were the ones that had been serving it for years. And they give us a list of times, and there was quite a discussion with it down in Marysville when they sat down there, and everybody put their ideas out on it, and they were thinking about whether they were going to try to start up another ambulance or etc. But you have East Pennsboro that's there. You have to this area to Burley Road, you have 6.4 miles. You have East Pennsboro to Burley Road, 9.5. You have a time difference between 10 and 17 minutes. Of course, Shermansdale's 16 miles and 23 minutes away. I had a discussion with him as to their backup they have. If they leave down there, they have other ambulance services within 4 minutes to serve their area down there. So if they come up here, and he said that he had talked to Craig, and he said it didn't matter to him who has that area down there. And he said that don't hesitate to make that statement or say that, because he said Craig and I had talked about this. We don't care whether you serve it, or they don't care whether they serve it, but they will serve it. So I got it before the board here to take a look at as to whether they want to take a look at it. He has, I found that out of East Pennsboro down there, the amount of calls that they run are astronomical. Compared to what we do here in Penn Township. He was going to be here tonight, and he called me before he got up and said he was really swamped, he couldn't make it. And I was also talking to him just to see where we were at and asked him questions. They received $27,000 down there from that area down there as a donation to the EMS for running it. Now, they run thousands of calls, a lot more than what I did. And so here we are in a comparison of 15. And gentleman thought that was very generous of us to do that. He also felt that contribution that anybody gives to him is a generous contribution because it helps with the service. So they run 3,000 or 4,000 calls, I think, in a period of a year compared to what we have here for that amount of money. But they're strictly all volunteer, very active. Marysville is going to go with that. And I guess it's up to the board to take a look at it, think about it, and let them know when they renew their contracts whether we want to stay with them or how we want to handle that area for ambulance service. Yes, Craig?
Just, they're not all volunteer, they're 100% staff.
Staff, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can expand. I met with Phil last week. I met with Phil recently and we discussed many of the things that you're discussing now.
And he was, like I said, he came in here this morning to go over this, and he has he explained to me how they answer their calls as far as the fire department, they're not assigned out there, So we went into detail and tried to find out some similarities. So I took a look at it. I have my opinion after being involved with it down there as to what they're going to do, or what I think sometimes when things aren't broke, you don't fix them or try to fix them. And he was very, very cautious to let me know that don't feel free to put it out on the floor in regards to he felt the working relationship between our EMS and theirs was at a point that it made no difference who controlled that area. And I mean, that was kind of like your statement that night when you were down there. I was surprised that Greg says, well, we don't tend to that down there. We really kind of got a lot of calls. And so it shows that they've come beyond that and they will serve. So that information is there for each supervisor and to take a look at and review. And I would say bring it back next month for your comments. What we do? Go ahead.
Did Phil share with you, they're in the process of working on their subscription program?
That's correct.
Marysville's runs the same period that ours does, and it's from May 1 through April 30th. And he was trying to get things lined up just so he knew if he should be soliciting to that piece of Penn Township. For anyone in the room who doesn't know, it's Burley Road South.
Yep, that's correct.
It's actually the line for the firebox, because all the EMS responses in the county follow the geographical fireboxes. Duncannon EMS covers down to Burley Road, inclusive of Burley Road, and then south of Burley Road, which essentially is the village of Perdix, is covered currently by Marysville. Marysville is going out of business, out of service on or before April 30th due to a variety of issues. Pennsboro currently is the second call for all of Marysville's area except that piece in Penn Township. We cover that second due. That is all based on, from 2004 or 2006, sometime a couple years ago, the county did a time distance study to what they called the center of the population in that geographical box. It's not necessarily the geographical center, but the center of the population. I'm not sure how they calculate that, but their GIS department did that and recommended all the second ambulance company all the way through 30th ambulance to be dispatched in the geographical region. Currently, we serve that second due when Marysville is not available. Marysville is currently staffed with West Shore EMS staffing, Holy Spirit EMS staffing, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. After 6 p.m. currently they go out of service, and then on the weekends they're out of service, so we're automatically called on the first dispatch currently in that section of Penn Township. I think the time difference is 10 minutes and 17 minutes. 10 minutes is the time study for our station from the time leaving station, that's not necessarily from dispatch, 17 minutes from their station. The two big variables that Phil and I discussed that I think are noted in that letter are there are certain times, overnights especially, where we rely on some volunteer staffing and we're not out the door immediately. Sometimes it takes 2 dispatches, typically 4 to 5 minutes to respond from the time of the initial dispatch to be on the road. So if you add that on, it makes it 15 minutes, give or take. The variable for East Pennsboro is that it's in a different county. They're dispatched by Cumberland County. And there's a lot of variability on the county and how long it takes Perry County to make notification either by radio or by telephone to Cumberland County. Cumberland County then inputs it into their CAD system, activates pagers, and dispatches the company. Some other things we discussed is our next due agency for this area Currently is Marysville. Beyond that, it's New Bloomfield, Halifax, Newport, sometimes Shermansdale, depending on where in our response area the call takes place. And we don't have the units as close as they do down there. The ambulances in Hampton Township, they have ambulances in Lemoyne, in Camp Hill, New Cumberland, et cetera. So East Pennsboro Township has a little more density, obviously because of population density in that area. So Phil and I discussed there were 44 calls dispatched in that area, from Burley Road down to the Marysville Borough line, again in Stone Wall in 2014. They handled a variety of calls in Penn Township. The report that he gave you was all the calls in Penn Township, many of which were in our first due area when we were already out. For King Cora, for I think 1 or 2 for Sawmill Road. I think there were 13 or something that they handled on our end, and just a handful in that Marysville area. Otherwise, we've essentially been handling that, however, that Marysville's not in service. I talked to Phil, and really once you add those variables in, it's really not a major difference in response times or district. It's all Duncannon addresses down through there, so our solicitation is easy because it goes to all the Duncannon addresses. Phil's, very easy to work with. East Penn's been a big help with us, backing us up, backing up Marysville a lot over the last couple of years, and they're good to work with. They're good people. We gladly will serve it if that's the wish of the township, or if the township wishes to have East Pennsboro serve it, that's works as well. Either way, the other agency will back up the first agency, so we'll continue to move forward with that. Our call volume last year was just under 1,200 calls. I believe East Pennsboro, with their piece of Hamden Township, the interstates, or the interstate and US 1115, plus all the density with Highmark and some of those businesses, about 3,500 calls.
About 3,500 calls.
And our number doesn't include our non-emergencies. I'm not sure if theirs does or not. They staff 2 ambulances, one station staffing from, I believe, 7A to 7P or 6A to 6P, and then they go back to 1 ambulance on the overnight hours. So either way, I think you'll be served well, and whatever works well. Phil and I are on the same page, I believe, and he said he'd share all this with you, so whatever you need from us, please let us know. We'll be glad to do whatever you need.
Question for you, so if decided that you would become primary, East Pennsboro then would be secondary?
Correct.
And you're fully capable of meeting the needs of that area
I believe so.
with the equipment and volunteers that you have?
Like I said, I think 50%, well, more than 50% of the time now, we're covering that area, just as the secondary agency when Marysville's not available. Certainly whatever makes sense, but it's so close, that area is so close, and those numbers are all the Burley roads, so the very south end of that area, 115, or the southernmost house, probably the 1,000 block of State Road, it's even more variable because you're further down the road. So it's not a huge call volume by any means, but certainly 44 calls in a year is 3 or 4 calls a month, so it certainly is something that should be taken into consideration.
And what was the shutdown date again for Marysville?
April 30th of this year. Marysville Borough and Rye Township have adopted a resolution for East Pennsboro ambulance to provide their primary service, where they already do, where they already are backing Marysville up. And they're going to do a referendum, I believe, to see if the residents want to support the cost to maintain an ambulance, which I think at best will be a challenge due to the incredible cost of doing so. So that's a 1-year period from May 1 through April 30th of 2016. And they'll see, look at what happens from there. So like I said, that piece of Penn Township is the 209 box presently. It was previously the 1101 box when it was Perdix's area. So the firebox lines, when the geography has changed, is just who will serve it after April 30th as first call. And certainly if there are any questions or anything that doesn't make sense, because sometimes we get caught up, and Phil and I laughed about this, that was last Friday. Sometimes EMS jargon with boxes and things like that are hard to follow, so if there's any questions from anybody, I'd be glad to.
I have a question. The cost to the citizen, is it your cost the same as what East Penn would charge?
Our subscriptions are more. We offer tiered subscriptions. Is that what you're?
That's what I'm referring to.
I'm not sure what their billing rates are. Our subscription rate is a little bit more. I think theirs are $80. Maybe they should do 1 subscription per person, I believe, or per household. We are tiered, and then we have a $10 discount for Penn Township residents due to the contribution by Penn Township. So when you figure in the discount, it's somewhere within $5, but at face value there, we're a little bit more.
If we get subscription with Duncannon, will they honor it out now?
Yes, that's something else we discussed. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, that's what I would rather do, I'd rather.
That if we cover for them, we're gonna honor the terms to the best of our ability. Their subscription, if they cover for us, they're gonna honor the terms of our subscription. Currently, there's an unwritten policy in the county that we honor everybody's in the county, everybody else in the county honors ours. There's nothing written because there are some challenges sometimes with who collects that money and then doesn't handle the area. So we all reserve the right to change that at any point, but currently Bloomfield comes in for us, they accept our members. If we go into New Bloomfield, we accept their members.
Yeah, that's the way it was in the past,
Yeah.
with the way the world
When you
changed.
cross the county line, though, it sometimes does change because the policies really change outside of the county where things are, competitive is the right word, a little more municipal boundary line drawn. That's all I have on it.
Okay, that's all I have on it. Just wanted to bring that,
Joe's on the list.
pardon, Helen?
Joe's on the list.
Okay, no, I've said in regards to this conversation. Helen.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I had to offer after meeting with Mr. Beck. Joe Burgett.
Good evening.
How are you,
doing?
sir?
I'm doing fine. Be better if the sun was shining and 70 degrees, but I can't get that, can I? It was shining today, you're right, but still wasn't melting too much of the ice out there. But it is what it is. It's winter, 'tis the season. This is Rupp Road. I'm sure you guys are well versed in this. I'm not. The owner of piece of property to the rear of Rupp Road, 18 acres, Randy, has asked me to assist him in trying to figure out some things to make this lot possibly a building lot. And so I figured, well, the first thing to do would be to come here and try to get some history from you guys so that I can direct Randy what I feel could work or maybe could not work. I've highlighted a couple things here on these plans, and the first plan there, Plan Book 50, page 6, is the most current subdivision plan. It was approved here and recorded. The pink highlighted lot is what my client Randy owns. This is about 18 acres, about 17.83. And he owns out to, which on this plan appears to be the end of the township road. So this lot touches the township road.
No, don't.
It doesn't?
Let's get that straight.
Okay. Okay, I'm just looking at this plan.
Okay, you want information, don't mind if I interrupt
You
you.
may, sure.
And we'll discuss that. We've been over this
I
thing
know.
so many times, Joe. I'll listen one more time.
Sure.
But I'm
Sure.
gonna correct you if you're saying something that's not so.
Okay, I'm just looking at the plan.
Yes,
The
okay.
plan points
Right.
to a line that his deed touches that line.
Mm.
So that's how I interpreted that.
Mm.
You can see that the end of Township Road, you see a leader coming in there, and it actually touches the end of
It's not
that.
Township Road, so don't refer to it as Township Road.
I'm reading the plan. That's
What the
plan.
plan says.
That's correct. That's the
Okay.
only thing I'm reading, is the
Okay.
plan that was approved, signed, and recorded. That's the only thing I have. Okay, so if this was wrong, it's very possible that this is a mistake.
I think we've already ascertained in other meetings that it is wrong.
Okay, I wasn't there. I'm just
Okay.
trying to get the
Okay.
facts here.
Okay, I'm
It's the only reason I'm here, okay?
I'm gonna-
I'm not here to argue. I'm just here to get the facts so that I can tell my client
Sure.
what my opinion is on this thing. Okay, so it's not the township road. Okay. I asked Helen for the records for the
Mileage.
mileage, and you're absolutely right. It comes to this point right there, which is the intersection of these two roads.
That's correct.
Okay, that's where you get liquid fuels to.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so based on liquid fuels, it does not go to Randy's property.
That's correct.
Okay, the next question would be access.
May I add something else,
You
Joe?
sure.
On the original recording of it, it also, of that road, the footage, when it was surveyed, which we have, I think Mr. Fox done that. That also shows where the township road ends. So it's not just this plan.
Is that the second page of this?
Helen, that's the original,
That's the original one way back.
no, not that.
What?
The description that you have when the road was taken over.
Oh, yes, I got it.
Okay? And that also has to do where it ends, Joe.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
footage of it from out the intersection,
Okay.
okay? And that's, but that, That is what liquid fuels bases it off of this original here.
Okay.
Okay? So that being said, it's just not just liquid fuels. There's the sketch, the original sketch for where it goes back and where it ends. If you check this on the footage and you take it out, it'll come exactly to where you just said it.
Yeah,
does.
I measured that.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I got that number from
And
Helen.
that's the original,
Right.
right there. 1959.
Okay, so the next question that I had would be, does in fact Lot 1, the pink perimeter, have the rights to come onto this private right-of-way? This private right-of-way, this plan here that was approved, it created 2 building lots and then 1 non-residential lot. It says here on this plan clearly that Lot 1 is a non-residential. I circled that in blue up here. And then it said lots 2 and 3 were single-family lots. Okay, so, and what they did was part of this plan is they created a right-of-way, which is shaded on this plan. That's the dark shading there, of 20 feet wide, for the access to at least 2 and 3. 2 and 3.
I think if you research the history of it, there's always been a right-of-way across there. That goes up and goes across, and at one time comes out over to Grange Hall.
Is that just a private right-of-way that comes the whole way through there? Or was that ever a township road?
Nope.
It was never a township road
Nope,
vacated?
never
or
a
anything?
township road, no, sir.
Okay, okay. Because the weird thing that I got on this plan was that the general notes say that Lot 1 is responsible for maintaining their private right-of-way on this lot, on this plan, which is the shaded portion. And if he has the right, if he's maintaining it, then that, to me, means that he has allowed to use it.
Nobody denied him the right
Okay,
to use
okay,
it.
okay.
Only the amount of dwellings that's on this project, on this road. That's what's creating the issue.
So by the law, because the ordinance says private right of ways for 3 lots, dwellings,
Yeah.
lots and dwellings.
Mhm.
So in my mind, this plan created Lot 1 and gave the right for Lot 1 to use it, but it says it's non-residential. So he's allowed to own Lot 1, and again, it's supposed to be a lot addition. I should have pointed that out. Lot 1 was approved, this plan was approved obviously as Lot 1 to be added to another property that Mr. Stoner owned. Stoner was the owner of this plan. So Stoner owned this lot over here at the time. So this plan added Lot 1 to the adjacent property of Stoner, but gave that whole entire property the right to use this strip. So, in my mind, Randy can build a house, and back up. The property that this was added to is 33 acres, about. Okay, so we have 18 being added to 33. So is that 51 acres? Something like that. So you got 51 total acres. There's no house on either one of them. But the 33, there's a sand mound and a well on it. So Randy could build a house on the 33 acres, drive every day up this private lane to get over to that house. He could do that by right. He's allowed to use it. We talked about that. Nobody's saying he can't. But he could drive over to his house, his lot, and that 33 acres, by the way, has another access into it. Okay, so it's not landlocked. It does have another access. But if he has 2 accesses, he can pick whatever he wants. He has his perfect right to do it. So he's going to drive in up road every day, drive back to his house every day. So what is the difference of that versus cutting off Lot 1 and doing that?
Well, the issue that was always here before us was we wanted to build another house up in this area up in here.
And that's exactly right. That's what he wants to do. He wants to be able to make this a building lot. And that's what I'm saying, Henry.
Okay.
if he has the right to come in this strip
Okay,
and drive back to a house on the 33 acres every day,
and you have access to this lot, this lot has a dwelling on it, and the driveway and the parkway to pull into this place also comes in here. That's being the question.
they're not allowed, but,
Who says they're not?
well, they don't own any of that property. They don't have any, it doesn't matter. This plan showed Lot 1 having that access.
Mhm.
So it's an approved lot, showing Lot 1 having that access. So it doesn't matter how many uses, it just says it has the right to use it.
Long before this lot was ever here, that lot was ever there, any of this was here. These people accessed this house through this piece of road right there.
And that's very, could be.
And it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's not could be.
Yeah, okay, it is.
It is. That's correct.
And I think that's a moot point, because this plan clearly gives Lot 1 that access. No matter whether there's 10, 12, 14, 15 lots accessing it,
Mhm.
this plan clearly says, by that note,
Sure.
Lot 1 has the
You
right.
can access it.
That's exactly right, to access it to a house. So
No,
what's
it
the,
says non-residential. It was not approved as a residential lot.
What Root proved. There was, but this up here where he had the building was addition that he had the permit for the building to his others when it was all one. Remember that?
Yes, that was a hangar.
That was the hangar. He had a hangar over
Right.
there.
now I understand that lot wasn't approved, but it was approved to be added to another piece of ground. So you've got 51 acres of ground there, and he can come up and build a house over there.
So he owns all 51 acres?
That's correct. He owns all 51 acres.
He
So
can build a house on the other acreage, that's fine.
That's right. So what's the difference of him driving up this lane, going over there to his house, versus selling this off and putting a house there? There's none. Am I correct? There's really no difference.
So the two lots were never actually combined.
That's the problem. Randy purchased that. Actually, what happened was, the township went out, they did septic testing on the lot.
On the 33
On
acre.
the 18, okay? Randy wanted to buy that conditional to septic testing because he thought it was a building lot. So Lenny come out, they did testing. He said, cool, septic testing, I won't buy it. So he bought it. And then he just happened to buy the other piece as well as a separate tract later on. So he does own both. But there is no difference. You understand what I'm saying? There is no difference. So what's the hardship here? I mean, he can drive in there to a house every day, but he can't subdivide it off, and then at that plan he could put a house here, and then he could cut this access off and use the other lane for his other house.
He can subdivide it off, but not as a building lot.
But my point is, there's no difference. There's 6, 8, 10 people using it now. It doesn't matter. This plan approved access through there, and he can come over here to build a house on
This
it.
Penn also approved a 50-foot right-of-way in here across somebody else's property. This plan in here also approved removing a utility pole in here. This plan,
saw that.
all this in here was supposed to be turned over and dedicated to the township. You give 50-foot right-of-way across someone's private ground that you don't even have and put it on a plan. Makes the plan a little erroneous. Better take a look at it, Joe. I mean, I've been
Well,
through this so many times.
This is the prior plan that was approved back in '73, which was after that 58,
This one, Brian.
59. So this plan, the second plan, and I actually have Mr. Nace prepared that. And I met with Mr. Nace, and this plan actually was submitted to the county and to the township. And I have records of comments that said, no, you need to have 100 feet of road frontage. Because they had proposed that lot to look like this. 16 and a half foot of frontage. This was the original submittal. There's comment saying, no, you need to have 100 feet on a public road. So the plan was approved like I show it there on the second one with 100 feet of road frontage here. Okay, so in virtue of that, you would assume based on that plan that the township road frontage would have went up to that point right there because of the township meeting minutes and the county meeting minutes that I have saying, nope, you need to have 100 feet of road frontage on a public street. So, and then there's see this, see that green right there? I highlighted the green on the first plan, because you can see, I think that's why that note, end of Township Road, was placed on that. It flags it up to that 100-foot mark, which is
Theoretically,
here.
Joe, in regards to that, Township Road ends right against Mr. Benner's property. All he needed at that time was an occupancy permit from the township to get off the Township Road onto his property. This portion of it that goes up along the line there. Okay, you're saying it needed 100 foot in there, that they had to have 100 foot.
That's what it said.
Maybe that's what it said, but I don't know where it came from, how it came from, because he accesses directly off the end of the Township Road. Right onto his property, no different than the panhandle lots that we have all over the township now that's allowed for a driveway to get back in this property. But he joins his property there at an extreme width. And I'm gonna tell you, when we paved Brook Road, nobody worked any harder or tried for weeks to get this ironed out that I could pave that back to there when I found out I was gonna get myself in trouble. There is no 50-foot right there. That pole was to be relocated. The plan says that. There's so much that this plan says it was supposed to be done, including the maintenance agreement to be recorded, which none of this stuff was ever done. There was never no follow-up by the subdivider that done this on a lot of this, Joe.
Right, right.
And so today, it comes back and hunts. And I spent time out there with Betty and those people out there and tried my best to get that I could find a way to pave that up to that corner. And I couldn't legally do it. I'd get myself in trouble. I could not spend, I'd have to spend money out of our general fund. I couldn't use it to recover any money from liquid fuels because they wouldn't allow it.
Right, right.
And so this portion that was supposed to be dedicated and turned over to the township up across there was never put in that condition.
It was never dedicated.
That is correct, because you can't dedicate something you don't own.
They didn't put it in the condition to dedicate. In other words, they left
Yeah.
the pole sitting in there.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't
put-
improve
that's
the roadway
right.
or anything.
Well, that was, well, the dedication was actually on the prior plan, Matt.
Yeah, but this plan says it was gonna be cleaned up.
Mm-hmm,
The pole removed from the roadway.
mm-hmm.
But this plan is what caused the, said the dedication.
But it was never dedicated there, but,
It wasn't?
no, as far as I can tell, it wasn't, unless you could find it in their minutes somewhere where they accepted dedication.
Well, it says here that they signed it, and it says on the.
They offered it for
And
dedication,
then they signed it.
yeah.
But
It's
you-
an offer of dedication.
But it
It
was
doesn't
never-
mean
An offer,
dedication.
you can't do it until you approve it to make it ready for the township acceptance, Joe. You know that.
So,
Whether they did in
well, back
73 or
then, I
74.
don't know what was.
Well, sure, same
acceptance.
thing exists
Yeah,
then, it's just
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
The point is right now that this plan showed that it was, this owner was gonna move the pole out of here and do some other things and improve this piece here so that it could be dedicated and the township would accept it. And that never occurred.
So you're saying that so if that pole was moved and that was built up to that point, the
Well,
township would
You
take it
can't,
over?
you're taking somebody else's ground.
Well, that depends on who signs off on that, right?
Well, yeah, if the
That's
gentleman
right.
will, and he's been here at the meetings many times, says you're not taking his pole, you're not taking his ground.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. but-
Well, I
I'm just trying to, yeah.
I'm
sure,
just telling you,
sure.
that's what I
Sure.
was up against when I
Yeah.
tried to get this result.
That's the issue, they don't believe that you have the right to move it and put it on their property, they don't believe that you, this plan from 873 shows a 33 footer that goes straight up through there.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And the property is actually to the right of way. If I'm not reading it, if I'm reading it right.
Yeah, it actually shows that they're intending to dedicate it the whole way up to here, which is actually
Up
up
here.
here somewhere.
But the point is, I don't know anything about this plan or whether it was ever done or not. It's the opinion, I think, of the existing landowner that was never done, and that's not public. And we have no record of it anywhere, there's no liquid fuels that it was ever done, so. Well, that's
That's a pretty sticky spot right back there at that end. You try to turn around back there, it's
Well,
kinda
you
tough.
don't need it, you don't need to tell me that. That's one reason why I
You
tried
wanted
to,
to turn it.
wanted to fix it there,
Yeah.
so that we could get in there. And try as I may, I mean, when, I remember when this battle was going on and then inherited it, laid quiet for some years, and when I got ready to pave that, I wanted to pave that around that corner. And then then residents that live back there, one said no, and then you get to take a look at it and the history of it, and you find out that there is no 50-foot right-of-way, contrary to what the
That
designer
plan
of this said this and what that plan says, our attorneys, well, I met down in Harrisburg with this gentleman over here, and
I saw some
then,
meeting minutes on that.
and Chuck's attorney, and,
I did see some minutes on that.
yeah, and so we went down. This whole thing is boiled down to you can't, I mean, they argued this was a township road, but yet the plan says it's a private road, 20 foot. There were so many arguments about it that was contrary to this.
It's definitely difficult.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if this had been done, it was his responsibility to improve this and make this 50-foot back to meet this, or if he wanted a township road up there, for him to put it in a condition that can be approved by the township. And he agreed to all this to get this plan approved, and then never done it. To get that plan approved, he had agreed to those conditions, or it had never been signed. It had never been approved. It's approved subject to those conditions, Joe. And those conditions were never followed up or met. As much as I'd like to see them people have a paved drive, as much as I'd like to see to go around the corner right there and be able to plow that for them, I can't do it.
Right.
I get one guy say, please do it, another guy says he's gonna sue you. Don't belong on his property, so, there was,
It's definitely a mess.
and yeah,
It's definitely a mess.
and I spent days in here trying to find out everything I could clear on back to pulling this original here. And that's where it ends, don't go any farther than that.
Yeah,
I've had the
patches with
liquid
fuel.
fuels man out there, I put marks on the road out there, and everybody agreed where it was. It was agreed at this meeting where the township road ends. It joins Mr. Benner's ground. And the pole there is not even where you drive. It's not in the middle of a road or anything. It's in a grass area that he mows around that's part of this 50-foot right-of-way that's to be moved that he don't have.
So the question, Joe, is who owns that 33-foot right-of-way between the end of the public road and?
I don't know.
Because if you look at this plan, it's not part of that property.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right.
So who owns it? Who has the right to it? There's this research project.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done any surveying. I was just trying to take these
Oh,
maps
yeah.
and get an idea by these maps, but,
Right.
yeah, it's a good point.
That would seems to be the issue, if you can find out that it's not actually somebody's property, they're just mowing further out, or whatever, I don't know what the case may be.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I just-
I mean,
Again,
Joe,
that's the only reason I
I'd
was here to
gladly
listen.
meet with you, go out there, walk over with you, but the full plan, take a look at all the notes, all the correspondence. I've been through that. And if there was anything that I could do, we would do it. I wish I could offer you a solution, but I'd gladly go out there and take a look at it and show you exactly, well, maybe you have been out and took a look
Oh,
at it.
because I couldn't
You
turn
know
my
what I'm
truck around
saying?
in there.
They're-
Yeah, it's tight.
It's
Yeah.
tight, and take a look at the pole, and
I got a big truck, but.
that plan was approved upon agreeing to those conditions. Do I not ask you? Do you?
Oh,
you
they're
agree?
on there, they're on there.
Yeah,
Those
you're right.
conditions are on there.
So they were never done. And the worst part of it is you couldn't do them because somebody else owns your ground.
I was gonna say, you can't agree to the conditions if somebody else owns it.
Well, that's,
So
yeah,
how could they-
so someone did do their homework
Yeah.
on the original part of this plan.
Right, yeah.
And just because you have a signed plan, an approved plan, you had some things to do yourself.
Most definitely. Yeah, I just,
Yeah, this area here is the area you need to find. Who owns this?
and does lot one have the right to go across it?
Well,
That's
probably because they've accessed up through there for ages.
well,
so-
that's a legal question. Yeah, that's
I
not up
mean,
to
there's
me
a,
to make that
as you know,
determination.
if you look back, there's a road that goes the whole way up through the property going out the other side.
I saw that, and it's, I
And
just,
therefore, they probably have a continuing legal right to continue to use it.
again, I
But it may
didn't
not
grow
be
up around
public.
here, so I don't know the history of that road. And
No,
so I thought,
I'm
I
just
thought
going
maybe it was
based
an old
on,
township road at one time that went out that
Yeah.
way, that was vacated or something,
No,
but,
it's not,
no.
no.
I don't know.
yeah, so. Like I said, it'd be nice to find where they offered this section of road for dedication. Township accepted it back in 75 and, I mean,
Yeah, I
they
mean,
actually
but-
dedicated it, not offered it, dedicated it.
Right.
They only offered.
But again,
Nunez is the
look where his
township.
deed stopped.
I know. That's what I'm pointing out
Yeah, it
is,
doesn't
even
go
this
up.
deed,
It borders it, but it doesn't go across the
does,
center.
so in reality, he probably doesn't own out quite that far, but exactly where those points are on this plan is a discussion too. You're probably gonna have to resurvey that one, but,
Oh, who knows?
yeah.
Well, I got a history of it now. So, that's all I want. I didn't mean to bug you, I
No,
just was
you're
trying
not.
trying to get everything in here so I could honestly give Randy my opinion on it, and
You know, I'd gladly sit down in here, you can hassle this out, I'll give you the time or whatever, but there's our side of it there that our solicitors looked at, and there was, I almost paved the damn thing, Joe. You don't know how close I come to running blacktop in there. And I'd have got sued if I'd have done it. I almost done it, because I believed that portion was a township road.
the only portion that I just still have an issue is he has a right to drive up through there, to go to a house every day. Why can't he put a house there and continue to do that? Just because this plan says it's on a building lot, it's, the plan still gives that right for access.
But he's got to
You know?
create a
And
plan.
plus the township did septic testing out there, and they cashed his check, and this.
No, he done the septic testing, we just had our people there to verify it.
Right, right.
Okay?
But it's still,
We
it's
don't walk in
still.
and do septic testing unless you're asked to do it.
Oh, I understand,
Okay.
but you still leave an interpretation by letting that testing happen that something could happen on the lot. Technically, yeah. Right.
Did he ask the question as to whether it was a building lot
Yeah.
prior to
I
the
don't know.
testing?
I don't know.
I mean, just because somebody comes in and says, hey, I want a test done, it's like, okay. We're not gonna go check the history on the property.
Oh, I understand.
I'm trying not to get our testing guy in trouble.
Yeah.
No, it's not his job. His job's to look at the dirt. So,
I wish I had the answer for you, Joe. It is, if,
it's a mess.
yes, and if there would have been, if this would have been straightforward and followed through and everything, you wouldn't have this, we wouldn't be here today. I'm sorry.
It's true.
True.
It's true.
You know.
Yes.
Don't hesitate to call me. I gladly, I got my own opinion how it can be resolved, and I've shared those with everybody, but somehow or other it doesn't work out.
I would think having a nice turnaround back in there for the township would be a plus. I mean, it's tough. It's tough back there to turn around. People put fences up, it would be even harder.
You know how
Yeah,
many
that's-
of them I got down in the township, go dead end right against the person's house, and you can't turn around without getting on their property, and they don't want you on their property, and you gotta back out?
Yeah, it's not fun.
No,
Yeah, they can't
we
be
got
fun.
them everywhere in the township.
Okay, sorry to take
Okay.
your time.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, recognition of visitors.
Cece.
Not at this time.
Linda Gauss.
No.
Bob. Carolyn Carnes.
I do have some questions, but I don't know if you want me to wait until the secretary's report because it has to do with the ordinances that you're going to be looking at.
The PSAS ordinances.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you.
Keep it for when the ordinances come up?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Henry III, you're on the agenda. Mr. Fickle, I'm sorry, Craig.
Nothing other than thank you for your ongoing support.
Okay, Mr. Fickle.
Just, thank you.
Stanley?
I have a couple questions. One is from the officer Pickles. When you did your negotiations with Blue Ridge, he asked you a couple times about public access channel. Did you ever talk to them or ask them about that? In your negotiations?
What do you mean, starting on public access?
Correct.
No, we never actually, spoke to Blue Ridge. I mean, that's something the attorneys did a Cohen Law Group, they talked to him about that. Not about that, but they spoke with him.
Well, I know they spoke for you guys, but I'd asked you at a couple meetings, and your solicitor even brought up that they have those in the Harrisburg area.
Yeah, Harrisburg has it. It's
Right,
quite
it has-
expensive to put it in. I mean, there's a lot of equipment and stuff in it.
Correct, I asked in your negotiations, were you gonna ask them if that was possible here in the Duncan area? Now, I'll just skip right to, I mean, I got my cable bill, thank you supervisors, for my increase. You had no problem asking for that. Supervisors.
Yes, Stanley.
I said, see, you have your head down, I said, thank you for the increase in my cable bill.
Mm-hmm,
Mhm.
okay.
So
And
that
I
money-
guess
so
now
that money, honey, where is that gonna be spent?
that money there goes back in the township or go into general fund.
And spent on what?
Well, general fund items, it's gonna be a revenue source for the township.
On my back, somebody has a dish in their yard, won't have to pay that tax.
That's true.
So if you needed to raise a tax, why didn't you have the courage to raise the tax for everybody in the township, so everybody could pay for your new general fund toy?
Well, I guess those people that wouldn't want a tax like that is gonna be the same type of people that don't want it on their cable. We had the cable franchise that were losing out thousands of dollars compared to what other municipalities get, and they have it all over. They also had a notice before that said cable franchise fee on there. But that cable franchise fee wasn't identified as it is now to make us look real bad. Take a look at your old ones and see if it didn't say cable franchise fee on it.
It'd be on the back of it, down by the state fees and all those.
I was reading my important customer news that came with my bill.
I'm sure, they'd be glad to point it out now when before they were collecting it and nobody knew they were getting it.
Penn Township has imposed a 3% franchise fee and a lump sum payment.
That was a negotiated one with what they negotiated for,
I
3%.
understand that,
Yes.
but they didn't have that prior.
Oh, now, wait, be careful, Stanley. Look at your bill and see if it didn't say franchise fee on there. And a category for it.
What did the solicitor sit right up there, which I see he's not here again at the meeting tonight? He sat right there and told you supervisors, if you pass this, the cable company will more likely pass that on to the ratepayers.
And
Did
that-
he not?
And yes, he did say
How
that.
can you keep telling me
But-
that my bill went up $8.04, that it wasn't from what you people passed?
And you're saying that there wasn't nothing buried in
I'm
that
not
bill
saying
for?
anything, I'm asking you a question. I'm gonna call the cable company tomorrow.
Yeah, do that.
I'm going to. And also, where are we at with the new EM manual?
It's in the process. We're working on it.
Just checking. Checking every 3 months, they're the same thing, working on it. Okay, thank you.
Shannon, what was that second question? I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Where are we at with the EM, new EM manual? Many years overdue from what I read in the law book for them.
Yes, I believe 9 years.
Yeah, just 9.
Yeah.
I know that's not your fault.
Thank you.
Byron?
Yes, last evening we had our first committee meeting between the Duncan Fire Company, Duncan Borough, Penn Township, and Wheatfield Township. Thought a lot of pertinent information was put out there, correct information was put out there for all the supervisors that attended, or councilmen. I think they got the straight facts of what's going on with all the rumors out there. With that being said, I'd like to ask Supervisor Peters a couple questions as regard to the reorganization meeting. Information that he put on the floor and questioned about the fire company's donation. The fire company is close to $1 million in debt. Off the info that was received from the fire department, as you said, what information did you receive from the fire department recently that leads you to believe that we're almost $1 million in debt?
Well, you sent your flyer out, talking about your expenses. Also your report, unless you weren't honest and forthcoming in that report about.
What report are you talking about?
Your
Annual fire
annual
report?
report.
There's
and
no
things like-
financial information in that report.
Exactly, so,
That's a call, that's an annual call report.
okay, so what is your debt?
What are you saying is debt?
I'm asking, what is your debt? How much money do you owe?
On
Buildings,
building.
equipment,
We have,
buildings, equipment?
you know what we have debt on? And I talked to you after a meeting. I expressed concern from the information you're receiving about the fire company.
Okay.
And I told you, you have any questions or concerns, and we have a document here at the township that tells you who are the official contacts from the Duncannon Fire Company
Okay.
to Penn Township.
And I'm not
one of them
contact-
is myself,
Okay,
and the other is our president.
yes, sir.
Neither of our phones have rang requesting any information from you.
And that's a recent documentation you just
No,
gave
that
to the township.
documentation's been up here annually since 2008,
All right,
okay?
then how come you're not forthcoming then? If you're gonna
We
sit
are
here-
forthcoming every year. You
Are you?
receive complete financial statements from the Duncannon Fire Company. You receive a copy of our in-house audit of every account that we have, every loan, every bank account. And you receive an annual copy of our 990 that is.
Well, I'm only
given from
requesting
our account.
information about the fire department as a.
You didn't
brief-
request any information,
Okay, I'm seeking information,
okay?
okay? All right,
Who
but,
are you seeking it from?
okay, well, Mr. Warner, if you'd like to talk afterwards,
Well, I can't, unfortunately, I
Okay.
can't tonight.
okay, fine.
But
I would love to sit down
I'm
and
willing
talk
to
with you.
share with you
But I'm
some
asking you
things.
tonight, how much debt completely is the fire department in right now? Because
About
my concern.
$670,000.
Okay, $670,000, so a half a million, a little over half a
Do
million.
you know what
dollars.
that's for?
Okay.
What's
That's-
what's that for?
That's probably for equipment and housing of the equipment
No.
to protect our township.
We have 3 loans.
Okay,
One of them is for the building out there.
okay.
That's a 20-year note that was started in 2006.
And you have no plans for no new equipment?
Let me finish?
Okay,
You let me finish?
sure, absolutely, sir.
You're up on your horse there. You
No, I'm
seem
not
like
on-
you got the answers
No,
before
I'm
I
not
brought
on
them
any
out.
horse, sir. I'm only asking,
Yeah,
I'm
there's
only gonna
2 other
require
loans
what's been
out.
required of other fire departments.
We have, the
We
fire
wanna know the
company has
details of
3
your
loans.
finances.
Fire company has 3 loans. One's our house payment. Nobody in here has paid cash for a house. You have a 15, 20, 30-year mortgage. Fire company's no different. Our house costs a lot more. We're being frugal with the money we're provided to provide the protection to the township, the borough, and Wheatfield Township. The other 2 loans are for the new rescue pumper, which was bought in 2012. And out of that, one is a 2% loan to Pima, and the other is the annual loan that is paid, and they are both paid out of the capital reserve account, which the money that comes in from Penn Township and Wheatfield Township and the contribution from the Duncannon Firemen's Relief Association pay for that.
So you're paying debt with the finances that we're
I
providing.
I don't know what you are saying is debt. Any money that comes in from Penn Township pays on those 3 loans, every dime.
Okay, well, that's debt. Loans, if you have money out there that you owe for something, that's debt.
And is that bad?
What's that?
Is that bad?
Well, it depends on how much that debt is, how fast it's climbing, and
Okay,
are you
stop right there.
able to maintain that debt?
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
I just told you.
My concern is for the residents of our township. One of our, let me finish now, will you please?
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
My oath, health, safety, and welfare of the residents of my township. And if the fire department has over $500,000 in debt and still seeking to buy newer equipment or more equipment, I want to make sure that we have the best equipment. that is suffice to meet the needs of our township.
What new equipment we buying?
I don't know. What new equipment are you buying?
None.
You don't have a second rescue vehicle or a second chief's vehicle in line to be purchased?
Nope,
And you have no plans for any new purchases of any vehicles or equipment?
nope.
Okay, all right. We're gonna,
That's where I'm asking where you got your information, because
well, I'm
if
just
you ask
asking.
me that, if you say, hey, I heard this.
I'm just, no, it's not that I heard
Disturbs
anything.
me. Yes, you
What
did,
I-
you heard it in the last meeting, because it was said right here in the meeting, that the Duncannon Fire Company had more in the works. There's a new chief's vehicle
That's
being
from them, that
purchased.
wasn't from me.
You just said
The
it.
only thing that I was concerned, I wanna know, is there new equipment being purchased?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so your current debt is being paid down.
The debt has
What I'm
increased one
concerned,
time since
listen, now you gonna let me
2006.
finish? My concern is that you guys are gonna come back to our townships and say that, you know what, we're gonna need a fire tax. We're gonna need an increase because we're not able to maintain our current debt and be able to keep safety in our township.
We're not maintaining any debt. We make payments on it annually. It's a
Okay.
structured debt. We have a house payment and a car payment, just
Okay.
like everybody in this room does.
Okay, well, then what's been required of other EMS and what's being required of other fire departments that serve this township was required to know complete financials,
You get it every year.
complete
You
financials,
get it every year. You
okay?
get everything that we have.
Okay, how much do you have in holdings, your CDs? How much do you have in investments?
I don't know, it's in there. That report's right over there in your office.
Okay,
It's given to you annually.
okay. And I would take a look at it because that's the same requirements that's been made of the EMS, Perkins
No, it
Fire
isn't.
Department. What?
No, it
Then
isn't.
you've not been in these meetings, sir.
Yes, I
Then you have not
have.
been in these meetings.
I've been
You
here
have not been
longer
in
than
these
you.
meetings because EMS, Duncannon EMS has been scrutinized by members of this board,
So have we.
okay?
And
Scru- you've been scrutinized?
we provide
Okay.
you everything possible financially that you
Only
can
thing
get.
I'm concerned with is our citizens, that we're not gonna be held in a year or two from now where the fire department or any of the emergency services come to us and say, we need a fire tax, or we're going belly up, or whatever have you, all right?
Well,
you know,
you
economy-
know the fire company is a 501c3 nonprofit,
Yes.
and you are not on the hook for $1, one dime that we owe anybody.
Okay, but if you guys go belly up, then who do we have for a fire department?
Okay, that's your concern.
That's my concern.
But your concern
That
was
we
at the
have a
last
sound-
meeting that we were gonna add, that we were gonna go belly up and you would have to put on a fire tax to cover that debt, and that is incorrect.
Well, and I don't
And you
want.
said that.
And I don't want that coming. I don't
That's what you
want,
said, and that is incorrect.
okay, it is incorrect,
That, if you had a fire tax on it, would be correct.
but what I'm saying, in the future, I don't want you, that's what it was said. In the future, I don't want you guys coming and asking for a fire tax and put the burden on our
I just am
township.
asking you, who's giving you this information
No,
that's
I'm
leading you into the...
inquiring. See, you got this big suspicious thing going on behind your
I
head,
don't have anything
or
going
whatever
on.
have you,
I wrote down
Okay.
some questions on what I heard in the, with the meeting minutes,
okay?
and
And that's what, you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear me saying, I heard this from this person, I'm just inquiring.
I heard
I'm allowed to
your
inquire.
direct quote was information given
I'm
to you
allowed
by
to
the fire
inquire.
department.
I'm allowed to inquire, sir,
I wish you would.
okay?
And I
All
offered
right.
you the invitation to meet at the firehouse and just, and look at everything, show you what everything is there, and explain to you why everything is where it is. It was sort of the same thing we did last night.
My question
And you
is
have not
also,
taken me up on
with
the invitation.
nonprofits, my question is with nonprofits, you will sit there and bank money and bank money and bank money and bank money, and then keep putting your hand out and asking, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying nonprofits. I wanna make sure that we're not giving out and shelling out a fire tax,
Once again, you have that document in your possession in your
okay?
office.
And you have all the CD holdings and how much you have in investments and.
There should be everything listed on there. If
Okay.
that CD isn't on there,
I
I'll
will
bring.
check that out, and I
I'll
will
get
be,
it.
and
And
I
that's
will be
why,
thorough about that.
that's why I extended the invitation to you. You have questions like that. If our treasurer's in the room, he can break it right out and show it to you.
Okay.
He can pull the computer up, show you everything you wanna see.
I just wanna make
And I offer
sure,
you that
I
invitation.
wanna make sure that your services are sound for the residents of our township.
There is no
That there's
issues.
no burden put on the back of our township residents.
There is none. There is
Because
no,
if it comes down to our residents have to pay tax or be able to get their prescription, I'd rather have them get their prescription. I'd rather have them eat a meal and not cat food or dog food. That's what I'm concerned about. And if you have just as much concern for the residents of this township as I do, then maybe we need to work together to make sure that we both, as EMS, fire, police, whoever, secures the safety and protection and sound of our township.
And I don't think you've been getting anything less than that from us for the past, ever since I became fire chief, I can tell you that for a fact, since 2008.
This township has worked very hard, and I commended Mr. Holman last month, or beginning of the month, about his fiscal strength, about his fiscal responsibility in this township. And I agree with the steps that he has made to keep this township solid. And I want to secure that for our future.
I'd like to offer a couple comments, Byron. You know, I think we've heard enough. Let's tone it down a little bit if you don't mind. Yes, we did have that first meeting last night. And that meeting started off exactly with what we just had here. And for a while, I thought it was going to get out of hand. There was some accusations made. There were some people that got out of line. I heard some foul language used that I didn't approve of at a meeting like that. And thank God I could say none of it came from fire company people. The issues that come out, there was an awful lot of information come out, and I sat there and listened for a long time, and I said nothing. And finally I spoke. There was one word that I liked that they used the whole way through that meeting by everybody that was speaking. And it was the word that everybody said, rumor. I said, I like that word rumor because so far everybody that's asking questions said their interest in it is rumor, no facts. Only rumor they heard. And I commented on that 2 or 3 times. What they wanted to know was they heard by rumor. And some of it was pretty damaging. And when you act and go by rumors and what's being said out there, it only hurts the services that are involved, the EMS, the fire company. And Greg was there, you heard me say that, Greg. And it hurts the municipalities that are involved with that, with these rumors. There was an awful lot of stuff come out there that I saw people sitting there, they got the answers they want, and the whole thing toned down. And it became a productive meeting. Very productive came out of it, in my mind. There was nothing there to hide anything. There was no accusations. The debt was talked about, what was owed, what for loans were, etc., where they're headed, what they're going to buy for equipment, how they purchased this, where they got their money, how they got the money from the grant across the river to buy this and that. And that was all explained. And everybody calmed down. And so it came out to be a productive meeting. And those issues were discussed. It was informal, no minutes kept. Everybody had the right to throw out whatever they want, regardless how they felt. There was nobody denied to say anything. That being said, you come out there, and I read your report, and I've taken a look at your report. I have some questions myself. I give you one of them, and you one of those, and Brian, I'd like you to come forward and let me give you a list of things that I would like to have answered by you, and take a look at them. That comes out of reading generated from your report. I would like to see a response. The other 2 supervisors know I done it.
Will do.
Those are questions that I came out of what I saw in your report.
You want me to answer these now, or you want me to bring them back next month?
You can bring them back next month, but I don't want to be here all night.
I can answer one right off the bat. The aircraft accident. That was my pushing of the computer button error. It was a
Okay.
whatever the call was, aircraft accident was like right below it, and it was either a standby for Lifeline or something.
Shows
like
up
that.
in your report that we
Yeah.
all received.
So I went back.
I
through
want to
and
know, where
edited
was this airplane wreck that we missed here in our
Yeah.
area?
Yeah.
So that was, I do take a look at them. Those are valid questions, I think. Nothing meant to offend. Those are just something to scrutinize your report.
And I'd like to just make one thing clear. I'm not against the fire department. I'm for our residents. I'm for the safety, welfare, and protection of our citizens. I come from a long line of firefighters. Matter of fact, you want to know how much I come from a long line of firefighters? My grandfather lost his life serving East Pennsboro, Goodwill Fire Department. He was killed, hit at Barlow's, which was then the bunkhouse for the railroad, and drugged to his death. My Uncle Dave served for Hampton Township for many years as chief. His son now is the assistant, or is now the new chief. My brother served as paid firefighters in the city of Harrisburg and volunteered. Matter of fact, volunteered in Duncannon Fire Department. So I understand the risk and the dedication that you guys bring to our township and to bring that safety, welfare, and protection. I only want to make sure that your company is solid for the future, for protection of our township. That's all I want.
And the door's wide open for you anytime you want to
Okay?
come.
And we will make that appointment, sir.
I appreciate that, and
Yes, sir.
like I said, that invitation's
All you have to
open.
do is just check with Helen. She'll give you my cell phone number. Give me a call,
Absolutely.
and we will meet, sir. All right?
And if you talk, that invitation's open to anybody. Citizens, whatever, anybody. That's, I mean, obviously, there's certain things you're gonna be privy to that the average citizen won't
Correct.
be.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
We have an open door policy. There's nothing to hide there. There's no agenda, there's no hidden agendas, it's public safety there. That's what it is.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's what we're working for. The best with what the money we're given, and try and make improvements down the road, try and forecast the future, and that's basically, the committee was put together for that, so it could be done in
And I would have been there last night,
in
but
an expedited manner, working, because you know it's hard working with 4 municipalities to go to 4 different meetings to try and get things resolved.
Oh, absolutely. I understand that, and my intention was to be there, but unfortunately, I had staff issues where I work and had to fill in. So,
I'll be trying to get a hold of you this week, the end of the week, maybe
Okay.
early next week.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Bring Stu along. It's been a
Oh.
long time since he's been in the
I
fire.
doubt if we get him out of the house.
There was an evaluation done on the fire company out there, I think it should be put out there by Marysville Bank as to what they're worth and what they could borrow and whatnot. They don't give credit checks on them like he explained down there, but they do give an evaluation from where they're at, what they own, and what they would be eligible, and upon their finances and what they have. And I hope that they don't run out here and spend it. That was the next question. He was asked, how soon are you gonna spend that? And they said, definitely not. But they're entitled to borrow up to $1 million or another 700,000 on top of where they're at. I thought that wasn't something that was put out there fictitiously. That came from a lending institution that said that they qualified for that. So that says something in regards to the health of the fire company or what they can afford. It's their management of it that they don't overrule it. And at the present time, my concern is, yes, they're reducing their debt. They are doing it in a fine manner, same way someone pays for a home or whatever they had to do. Had to borrow money up front, a lot of criticism. Like to see everybody move beyond that. Anybody else, Helen? Visitors?
Jesse?
I just, when you talk about this ambulance deal,
Yeah,
I know that the township gives, these fellows 15 grand.
mm-hmm.
If we get somebody else coming in, are they gonna ask for money?
They have it.
They haven't.
Yeah.
We get somebody else coming in, other than, was Marysville?
Yeah, they charged us nothing before. And
You're gonna have East Pennsboro possibly
And
coming in?
East-
Are they gonna ask us for a donation?
that I don't know, it didn't
I'm
discuss it.
just-
Do you have any idea, Craig? I mean,
We
what-
didn't explicitly discuss that,
Eh,
but
okay.
I didn't get that impression.
I didn't get that impression, and I discussed that with him, and I brought that up.
Okay. I
That
hope
they
your
they
impression holds
volunteer these services, and that got taken out of place that there were volunteers. They volunteered these services to our community. That's what I got out of it,
That's all I have, thank you.
okay?
Lee? Lee?
I'll leave.
I'll go back to the ambulance here real quick. I just thankful that they're around. We recently had the need for them, and it was nice that it was a local service. With the circumstances, they knew enough to call me instead of busting the door down. Thank you. So it is nice to have a local ambulance service here.
Luke?
Next.
Okay, Bob?
No, nothing at this time.
Jody?
Not at this time.
Let's see, who did I miss? Look at you. Okay, nothing? You ma'am? I think everyone else was got. That's it?
Okay. That completes your recognition of visitors, invoice expenditures for you for objection or approval or rejection.
This month, we paid over the quarterly tax payments for the fourth quarter, and we also paid for the new truck. And those are the only additional out-of-the-ordinary payments.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we paid the invoices and expenditures. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Except that I abstain from voting on check number 28006 to Red 2 Associates because I'm employed by them.
Okay. Invoices and expenditures, been completed treasurer's report. You have before you your treasurer's report. Anything you'd like to offer in regard to the treasurer's report, Libby?
No.
Okay. Treasurer's report before you for approval or rejection. What is the wish of the board? I make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report subject to audit.
I second the motion.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Minutes, January.
What CD?
Excuse me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just passed around sheet for a CD. There's one Park and Rec CD that matures February 6th. And Karen Tilkins would like to renew it as the municipal easy access CD at Mifflin Town Bank at 0.65%.
And that's for 11 months, is that correct?
Yes.
What is the wish of the board to concur with the recommendation of Karen from the Park and Rec?
I move that we concur with the recommendation.
I second.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay. Minutes before you, January the 5th, 2015, for approval or rejection. Minutes are before you for approval. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make the motion that we approve the minutes of January 5th, 2015, which was the reorganizational meeting.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Motion's been made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so ordered. Highway report, not much to report except a lot of plowing, a lot of spreading skid and salt, trying to keep the roads down. Not much to plow at times. Restocking, I ran a skid today. We used it out. We restock it immediately. Tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock we will be leaving to bring our coffers full by a couple truckloads, a couple trips down to get anti-skid. And by dinner time we hope to have the plows and spinners back on to go back out before what's coming at us tomorrow afternoon. So, to date, you might find it interesting, to date we have hauled and stockpiled and using out of 242 tons of skid that we bought. That's unbelievable, folks, but that's what it takes. I tallied up the tonnage today on the slips where we purchased. We are fortunate that we're getting it at $3 a ton. If we could do something about $65 a ton salt.
Makes it a little more than that.
Huh?
Makes it a little more than that.
It is, that's what the state buys by. The salt, I will say that we've got one salt load out there delivered today, another one coming mid-morning tomorrow to keep that full out there. And we doing our best out here to stay on top of it. We spent some long hours out here. Did get thanks from the school down here and the school bus drivers for having Susquehanna Hills and King Corabera so that they can get those buses in and out. And those areas out there, the first thing our drivers do in the morning is take care of those hills and the areas where they have school bus problems. Was out here, stopped in out here at the shed, the phone rings and snowing and bad. And I think, boy, here we go, here comes our first complaint. And we pick it up, and I received a call from a late Camp Hill resident who says she's worked in Penn Township for many years. And she offered that the keeping of our roads in a very drivable condition, she wished to thank those responsible. She felt you probably don't receive much gratitude for a job well done. She says she appreciates it when she gets here and gets to Penn Township Road, she knows she can get to work. It's getting from here to there. So I don't too often receive that, but I shared that with the guys out there. One driver was there, Steve heard, Tom wasn't there, but Steve heard the message. It's still on the machine out there, and I appreciate her making that compliment, by golly, on trying to keep these roads open for travel. Our new pickup truck with the plow has arrived, sitting out in the shed. We received that and paid for it.
We will tonight.
Tonight, okay. Okay. Among other things that the boys do out here when we have problems is we do try to take care of the building. We get kids out here that stuff the urinal full of toilet paper down here and clog it up. Nasty job, but they had the whole line clogged up. Road crew and ourselves get at. Fixed that, took care of that, and the whole 9 yards. Plus some honey-do list for Helen in here that she needed done on these cold days. Keeping ourselves busy out there with it, and it looks like it's going to stay that way for a while. The comments that you hear here about some of these things, and I forgot at the reorganization meeting, and at every year I make the statement that in regards to my property and my place, the township is unwelcome to park, use, turn around, or my property in any way, shape, or form. And that all goes back to our new addendum. Take a look at it, and it's covered well in there this time on the supplement that came this year. In the past, I saw where township used a road to go in, drive, turn around. The people said nothing, and later on claimed it as a township road and took their property. So now the township gets the access of my place, but it needs to be made a part of the record every year for my protection, because I don't want it coming down the road later on and say, we turned at your place, we used your roadway, Henry, we're in here, township has a right. That's why I make that statement. The township wants to use that, they get it at the use of my express written condition, and I allow them to do it. They have places there for the neighbors that they go to. There is no place to turn the vehicle around on his property without tearing his cosmetics of his place all up. So I do that for that. The other thing I wanted to know, they spell it out in here that the use in here, the section, and I've read this, and the first thing I took a look at as to the first time I've seen that in here, that using a road.
Page 23.
Yeah, and for 21 years, whether there's a record of it or not, township can take that. So if there's somewhere out there where the township's doing that and the residents are aware of it, you need to be careful that somewhere, that there isn't a board of supervisors that comes down the line and say, we used it, we're going to continue to use it, or we take it, or it's ours. I saw that happen right here. And I don't want to, every road which has been used for public travel, maintained and kept in repair by the township for a period of at least 21 years is a public road, having a right-of-way of 33 feet, even though there is no public record of the laying out or dedication for public use of the road. So that, and then there's other addendums in there. And then always, finally, but last, sooner or later, someone gets around to it, and the comment was offered to me that, Mr. Holman, it's really nice to see all the material you got sitting down there at the place at the township butts that you put on your road. Yes, there was extensive work done in there, widen the bend in a road so a neighbor could have access for his equipment up over the hill and to take a short bend out of the road. I gave that ground willingly, kept it within the right of way, removed it, repaired it. The township done that last fall and did not use any township equipment. I used all my own so that they can't say Henry had the township doing this for himself. I have with me the list of the tonnages and the bills that I paid RC Trucking in Penn Township to haul that stuff in there in that place. And much of it I donated to the repair of that road back there, so nobody could say that I received something special from this township. That portion of that road was widened, fixed, was done at my expense and donated to the township. And sooner or later, someone couldn't hold themselves. They had to mention it to me that I got a freebie from the township. And I assure you folks, those bills and all those slips are right there, paid for by me. About 80 tons of stuff. So anybody has any interest in that, I'll be glad to show it to you, walk it to you, and let you know what happened. That's all I have on the road report. We're looking forward to a busy year out here. Like I said, the plan, as soon as the snow gets off the dirt out here in Linton Hill, Mr. Levine's coming in, and we plan to go on out there and taking a look at that, to get that budget, to get that put in effect, to get a bid out, to get a pre-bid on that road out there and try to replace it. That's one of the roads, and that would get Penn Township out of the dirt if we could done. Budgetary figures, like I had said, was done before last year, fits within our budget, does not deplete our liquid fuels money, but will allow for a paving of that road. And still have leftover for next year to continue paving. That's all I have for the highway report. Penn Township Planning Commission. Go ahead, Helen.
You have the Sunshine Hills Water System Plan. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 AORs, and the only contingency the Planning Commission is recommending is signatures being provided on the plan.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission here? Everything else has been finalized, the plans, the hearing, everything's been done.
They got all their variances
And all that's all behind us. If the plan's approved tonight, we don't need to approve a time extension.
Correct.
Correct.
That's there in case.
Do we need to approve the AORs individually before we approve the plan?
You can either do them individually or collectively. If you want to spell them out for each one, feel free to.
Well, I'd rather do them collectively. So
Okay. Let's do them collectively, the AOR.
I move that we approve AOR for Section 304 Final Land Development Plan. Also, Section 309.A.A Plan Scale of the Subdivision Land Development Ordinance. Also, Section 509 Curbs of the same ordinance. Also, Section 510 Sidewalks of the same ordinance. Total 4 AORs.
Okay, motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Approval of the final,
Of the plan itself.
and the plan itself, yes.
I move that we approve the Sunshine Hill Water System Update Final Land Development Plan, file number 2014-04, contingent upon all signatures being provided.
And all fees paid.
And all fees paid.
You guys waived those, never
Right.
mind.
The fees are waived for the municipality.
Okay. Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Glad
Okay.
to see that project move forward and get a new water system.
Okay, and then, so the time extension is null and void now.
Null and void.
The next thing they had was the 2015 Perry County Future Land Use Plan. They have some language they want to send up to the county concerning our township, what is on our future land use plan versus theirs, and also a copy of our future land use map.
Zoning report, Helen?
Gonna,
Oh, excuse me. Don't let me move on. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we concur with the Planning Commission and send the township future land use plan to the county along with the comments that were made by the planning commission recommending changes to the Perry County future land use map.
Motion made, I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, Helen.
Okay, now the zoning. Okay, you have
Right before you.
December 2014 and January's report. Pretty much just normal stuff for him. And then, well, that's under SEO. I did send the copies of these up to the office.
Okay. Storage Enforcement Officer
Okay,
report.
same thing, you have the December and the January meetings, what he's done. And then what I need is, every year we have to send a on-lot sewage disposal annual report up to DEP. Well, they changed one of the criteria here a little bit, and I'm trying to find where it is. Okay. On the affidavit, they used to allow us to either get it signed by a notary, the signature signed by a notary, or the secretary can do it with a seal. Now, with the seal, which is how I did it in the past, I have to have permission of this board.
Okay. Make a motion that we grant Helen permission to use the seal to certify that document.
Yeah.
Second motion.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so.
That's all I have under sewage enforcement.
Okay, Penn Township Park and Rec Board report.
Just a couple of things. One we took care of, it was the CD, and at this month's meeting, we had our reorganizational and a reappointment of Ray Klein Peter until December 31st, 2019. And our senior lunch will be held again on February 20th.
You guys have to approving for reappointment.
Do I hear a motion to accept reappointment of Raymond Klein Peter to the Penn Township Park and Rec Board for a 5-year term to end 2019?
I make that motion.
Motion made. I'll second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay? Penn Township Municipal Authority.
You have a letter from them thanking the road crew for providing labor and equipment for the test pit and probe for the water company project.
Okay? We're glad to be able to have the time to go up and do that. Okay?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to thank everybody for everything that's been through to get us to the point where we're ready to start this project. Hopefully by this coming fall, we will have this project done and completed, and the fruits of our labor, time, quality, plants and stuff will be coming due. If anybody wishes to walk and see the before and afters, please let any one of us know. We'll gladly give you a tour of what it is now and see the big change that's going to happen. That's going to be a benefit for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
How big a tank you putting up
150.
for the size? Good.
Okay, Secretary's report.
Okay, the first thing is the PennDOT liquid fuel review. I gave you an email I received from Mr. Carmel. His boss still hasn't blessed the report and sent it to us yet.
Okay.
And then the second thing I have, and tell me which one you want. Okay, that's the third one. There's an ordinance here for authorizing participation in the PSAT's Health Insurance Cooperative Trust. That ordinance has been advertised. You just need approval.
Okay. Felonies have all been duly advertised? You
All
have a
three of
copy of
them.
the advertisement?
Yes.
Okay. That being said, I make a motion that we follow through with the PSAP's health ordinance and adopt.
Okay.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Okay.
PSAP's pension ordinance.
Basically the same thing
Thanks.
for us to continue participating with this.
Okay.
I make the same motion for this ordinance, ordinance number 2015-02.
Okay. Motion made. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Okay.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
Um,
PSAP's unemployment compensation ordinance.
this is one Carolyn has.
A couple questions.
Mhm.
When was the last time, I don't want names, when was the last time that a township employee was laid off that they collected unemployment?
Oh my God. Not Joe. It's been a while. Unemployment. Steve McGee.
Pardon?
McGee.
Yes, Steve McGee.
I think he was the last one. I'd have to double check to make sure,
Okay.
because the others were workers' comp, not unemployment.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was
I
the
think that's
last.
the last one.
Yeah.
Year,
I'd have to check for you, Carolyn. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm
2
thinking
years, 3 years, 4
3,
years,
4,
5 years?
3, 4, something like
More than
that.
that?
More?
Around 8 or 9.
It hasn't been that long? They kind of run together. I'd have to check for you.
Okay. I worked for 37 years, labor and industry, with unemployment compensation, so I know what I'm talking about. Under this ordinance, I know you get a bill from PSATs. How much a year is that bill that goes towards this unemployment compensation group trust?
I don't know that number off the top of my head. We pay the employer part, of course. Plus, we take the employee portion. A year, I don't know a year. I'd have to look that up. That's not a lot. No.
Okay, because what I'm reading is out of the legal notice that was in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's an intergovernmental cooperative arrangement to permit participating employers to pool resources to satisfy unemployment compensation obligations in a cost-effective manner.
Yes, that's what the
Okay.
PSAS-UC is supposed to be.
Okay, how much a year are you paying to satisfy unemployment compensations in a cost-effective manner?
And I would have to get those numbers for you. I don't know them off the top of my head.
1,000, 2,000,
No.
3,000, 4,000?
Wouldn't be that much, would it?
It might be 1,000 to 2,000. For the fourth quarter, we paid $373. $373.
For the fourth
Okay.
quarter, so that'd be 6,
And the
9.
last time an employee was laid off to collect unemployment was,
I can get that real quick. Let me get
okay,
that number.
because my purpose of this is, you're paying, we the taxpayers are paying money into this trust fund and getting no benefit from it because we don't have any township employees laid off that are collecting unemployment. So all of this money that's being paid in is helping PSATs pay the unemployment cost for some township out in the western part of the state, or the eastern part of the state, or the northern part of the state. But it's not going to pay unemployment for any of our former township employees.
But we don't pay it to the state like other employers do.
No, you pay it to PSATs.
That's right. So if we were paying it to the state, it would be the same thing, we'd be paying them money, but we wouldn't be getting any.
But you would not be paying any money if you did not, if the township did not belong to this group trust.
What do you mean we wouldn't be paying any money?
As a reimbursable employer, the township would be paying in on a quarterly basis the employee contributions that are withheld from their paycheck, which is 70 cents on $1,000. If you have no one collecting unemployment,
That's right.
you don't need to reimburse the unemployment fund. So there would be no other
Yeah, he
money
applied
paid
for it,
out.
got it.
So what you're saying is, any employer, if they don't pay out, if they don't have any employees that were laid off, they wouldn't have to pay any tax to the state? Would their contribution rate be zero?
No, that's where you get into a municipal, any of them that are a quote-unquote reimbursable employer. Stanley and Lee cannot be reimbursable employers. They pay differently. Yeah, I know. As a reimbursable employer, the only obligation is to reimburse the unemployment trust fund any money that is paid out to a former employee who collects unemployment. If you don't have anyone collecting unemployment, there is no money to be paid. So this money, for all these years, that's been paid to Passats, helps to cover all of the other townships in the state who have employees that are laid off and collecting unemployment. In my eyes, that's a waste of my tax money.
Do we have a choice? I don't know. I don't know, this is set up before I got here, so I don't know if we have a choice or not.
You do have a
No.
choice. You can tell Passats that you don't want to be part of it anymore.
And if we don't participate anymore and we do lay someone off, then they don't get unemployment?
No, that's when you would have to, you would get a bill and you would have to reimburse the state.
Like the authority does.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
My own opinion.
You're-
Is there a
aren't you
deadline, is there a deadline date on this now?
Yeah, they want it by the 31st. It's been going through for since August, September. First we had to do this thing, and then this is the last portion to continue paying with it.
The amount that's budgeted for 2015 is $1,400.
But that's not just our portion, that's also the employee portion, isn't it?
That's employer.
It's employer.
Oh, just employer, okay.
This issue came up 6, 7 years ago in the municipal authority,
Mm-hmm.
and Susan Long explained it out. Municipal authority at that time was not paying anything in for unemployment, because it was cheaper, just if we ever had anyone go off, just pay them for that 6 months. I remember that discussion, and that was quite a while ago, and Susan Long was the one that,
Yeah, the authority has it that way.
But if somebody's off for 6 months, we're gonna pay them more than $1,400.
Yeah, but
Probably.
you're paying that money out now.
Yes. And we're not getting any benefit.
Right.
That's correct. I'm just pointing out the other side.
in 10 years, that's $14,000 you're paying for 6 months.
How long can you ride the unemployment out today? I don't know what the terms are.
6
What if you have
months.
a person that you laid off with no intention to bring them back, or your reduction in size and they're off a year? What happens?
Depends on how many times
I
Congress
think
gives them a
it's
renewal.
Yeah, you pay
Right now
time
it's
and
Right now, there's
time.
been people on unemployment for 3 years.
I think it's, right now it is 26 weeks. I do not believe that there are, because the unemployment rate is so low and still dropping, I do not believe that there are any type of federal extensions to that, like there had been when the economy
I
was so
don't know.
bad. I think it's 26 weeks and that's it.
So
Yeah, it's
if,
down.
Does that include the police department?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just in my head, that's where we could see potential turnover, which is the police department. In my head, I'm thinking, wow.
Well, that would only be for the full-time, just.
No.
So,
Unemployment's for part-time too.
It's all employees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why I
You mean
just-
if we laid a police officer off?
They could apply for it from us and whoever else they are working.
They're at-will employees, we don't have.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I wish it was that easy.
Get some insurance, but it's pretty expensive insurance.
because if we laid somebody off right now for 6
They don't
months.
pay that much,
Yeah.
they pay.
Oh, they collected for 6 months, what's their average employee making?
If they opted out of that.
Oh.
$15 an hour, 70 average,
Sixteen.
about
Six-
$16 an hour.
16, say 16.50, yeah.
That does
Based
go
on
to
a 40-hour
PSATs.
week,
That goes in-
right there, in 6 months.
Well, they would, that would be deducted from their pay.
We've collected for what we paid for.
640 times 6. That's the $4,000.
Yes, Greg.
The Boroughs Association has a very similar program.
Mhm.
Duncan Borough by and I'm learning a lot about it tonight, thank you. And had a request for a claim filed back last summer. You may want to talk to Mr. Bomberger in town, he can give you some insight, because the insurance company on behalf of the Boroughs Association was not stellar with which to work. There were some things and decisions made quote unquote on our behalf that were not communicated well with our solicitor. And there was just some friction with the process when if you were last April, 3 borough employees resigned all at the same time, cited some difficulties with other staff, and at least one, if not 2 or 3, submitted workers or unemployment compensation claims that ended up being litigated a little bit for other hearings and such. And this entity that provides this insurance for which the borough pays as well, didn't communicate so well with us, the ones paying the bill. So it was, it may provide some insight if you talk to Lynn or to Mike on how that works when a claim actually happens. I'm sure it's almost an identical program, just administered through the Boroughs Association as opposed to the State Association of Township Supervisors.
Does this ordinance have to be yea or nay tonight?
A couple days, just.
PSATs would like the ordinance by the 31st. Now, understand, this has been talked about 4 or 5 months.
But it's not been talked about with the new information.
No, that's true, that's true.
Let me make sure I'm clear. You say they'd like it by the 31st.
For us to
When-
be considered part of the PSATs, unemployment
So
compensation.
if we don't pay by the 31st, we missed our opportunity. Is that what you're saying? It's dropped dead
I'm-
at 30 on
I'm-
the 31st.
I'll make that phone call tomorrow because I don't know that answer.
Yeah, it's still not gonna give you much time if they say that's the end.
Which I do believe we can withdraw any time if we don't want to do it anymore with PSATs.
Are you refunded any money?
Probably not. Well, yeah, we pay by quarter, so.
Well, unless the economy drastically falls apart in the next year, or I believe we just did employee reviews, everybody seems to be solid, but things could change. I would like to see us opt out of this one for this year and let us evaluate it and come back next year with a better perspective of it without spending any money.
Well, what about the police department? That's, your road crew and your office crew and everybody like that, I don't have a problem with it. The police, these part-time police officers are able to collect, and that's gonna affect all of this.
You can lay them off.
Well, it's not just, we say they have 2 jobs. The other job lays them off, and we don't. They go after all employers for a proportion of it.
Portion of them, that's right.
After all employers.
All employers.
Oh, okay.
and
That's
previous
where then
employees.
you go back and say, we want to request,
And we do that.
terminology.
Yeah.
Yes.
Release
Yes.
from charges.
Release
Yes.
from charges, yes.
We do that.
One of those, Helen, we only had him work a couple part-timers, and he went to another job and got laid off.
And they
Paid
still made us-
unemployment.
Mhm.
We only had him a couple days.
I know.
And we
They go back
paid.
on your previous employer.
Yep.
We paid a long time on that. I mean, a long time on that.
Yeah,
That was one of them she had there in the front.
that's the one I just,
Okay.
Hire me and lay me off and I'll pay it back.
I wasn't with the understanding that was from all employers.
unfortunately, they try. Sometimes it works in our favor, sometimes it don't.
Correct. Depends on what compensation lawyer you get.
Yeah. And PSAT is, this UC Trust is the one that goes to bat for us
Correct.
if we,
If we have to go to again.
Yes.
If you pay the $300 and some and get hooked up for the first quarter, and that would give you time to investigate further and look at your situation and come up with an answer whether you want to withdraw at that time or continue.
Thanks for the motion I was gonna make, Jess.
You gonna lay me off tonight?
yes.
Can we terminate this
Okay.
Is that a request?
Yeah, that's the one thing I have to find out.
I would reiterate
I
what
believe we can.
Jess said back there, because
Yes.
that's what I was,
For the first quarter.
yeah. And that way we have coverage either or, and we can opt out, okay. And until we take a further review of this to see just exactly where we're at on this and,
And if you would, ma'am, if you could work with Helen in providing information to assist us in making more clear decisions on this with information before tonight.
Well, okay, I would be more than happy to do that, but.
You want us to put you on workman's comp, don't you?
My husband and I are leaving at 3 o'clock Saturday morning and going to Florida for 5 weeks.
All right,
Oh,
well,
well,
that's
I
fine.
won't be home until,
We have a quarter.
yeah. But no.
motion made, do I hear a second?
What was your motion?
Yeah.
Motion made that we involve ourselves with this for a quarter.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion made with a second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have
Okay.
it, so we're telling.
Okay.
Proceed.
Helen,
Yes.
write my phone
Okay.
number down on that, 844-5807.
Now, Lee, no bank phone calls.
We have one other item under Secretary's report, let's move it along here. UCC code appointment
For Bill Warner.
for William Warner for on the UCC code board. I make a motion that we concur and reappoint William Warner for the UCC board, and that is for
3 years until 2018.
Yeah, 3-year term.
I second the motion.
So maybe a second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Engineers report, Max, your turn.
Oh, there's other information for you guys to look at.
Yeah, there are
This
two
help?
items tonight. One is
Yeah, just
the Carl
information.
Stoner subdivision. Based on the approval of his revised plan, I prepared a recommendation for reduction of his financial security, and I would recommend that it be reduced to $8,641.50. And I see the highlighting didn't come through very well when you found it.
No, it didn't. But number 4 is highlighted.
Yeah. I left in the cost of the oil and chip for the shoulders, as I also put in some additional money for some additional,
Seating.
for some additional stone and some seeding and stuff, and a 10% contingency. Other than that, the rest of those items, I believe, are all completed. Since you no longer don't, you're not gonna do the trees,
No.
the swales are all in, and the rest of that is all in. And the roadway's already paved.
What's the wish of the board? Max, you've taken a hard look at that and everything, okay? Satisfied with that?
Yeah, I actually found out what your bid was last year
Here, okay,
and inflated it to include all the additional stone
okay.
and the word we're getting from Hemp and Pensy is prices of bituminous is gonna drop this year.
Good.
At least that's what it's looking like now.
All the prices.
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we concur with Max's recommendation and reduce the financial security by $39,386.03, leaving a balance of $8,641.50 to be maintained for the project.
I second.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
The other item I have, and you should have a copy of it in your packet, is we performed a review of the Lanker Stormwater Management Plan. And we have listed all of our comments and associated with this, and not sure if I'm not sure if this was actually sent to Mr. Lanker.
Not until after they were looking at it and approving your comments. Then I'll send it to him and his engineer.
That's right. There's a number of items in here that do not comply with our current ordinance, that he should comply with some side slopes, width of berm, etc., emergency spillway capacity, and a couple of other items, so. And if she wants a copy, she can have a copy. Here.
Either one, it don't matter.
It's on my list, thank you.
That is which?
The original?
No, I got a couple, he gave me a bunch of originals.
Oh, okay.
No,
I just wanted to make
the
sure.
originals I have.
I always say a PDF.
You
I
did.
gave you a copy.
You gave me a copy at the planning commission.
Yeah, I printed them in color.
You concur?
Waiting.
I move that we concur with the engineer's recommendation.
Okay.
Approve his review and report to the applicant.
Okay.
I second.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
And that,
Yeah, she got a copy of it. The only other item I could think of for Lanker would be, it probably should have a zoning review. I don't know whether you've gotten it.
they, yes, that's been done, it's been sent to DEP already.
I will send in the DEP.
All right.
Okay?
Should also probably be sent to them, so that
Okay.
if there's issues. So they can make adjustments as necessary to comply with the zoning issues.
Okay? You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fine with that.
And that would be the only items I have.
Okay.
I can get you that one too, Lennox, CC,
I
the
have-
zoning.
I haven't seen that, so, sorry, I can't get it yet.
Max, could I ask you on that, is that going to address, or I didn't look at this, but does any of that address that over 20-foot pile of concrete?
No, but the zoning does.
Well, the plan itself is proposing to redo the entire property, level it out, and put in bin storage and the whole bit. So, based on the plan, what's piled there right now should be moved so that they can actually construct what's on the plan.
Is anything being done, going to be done, as far as that being a violation of township ordinance? Since that has been there over 20 feet tall for months and months and months?
Again, I think
We've
that's
had
pretty
a,
good.
what do you call that, cease and desist?
Cease and desist
Yeah,
order, yes.
has been done.
But he
Yeah,
can't
that's
do,
been done,
but he
but
can't remove anything because he has a cease and desist.
No, I believe that was the remedy to get rid of the cease and desist was the pilage. the piles. I don't think I have him over
So
here.
the cease and desist was from
From,
increasing the size of the pile.
yes,
He can remove.
To
but he can't-
remove, he can remove, but he can't increase or bring more on site. It would be a cease and desist.
The question
I
is,
would think.
the question is, he can remove, but must he remove?
Well,
well, by the
continues in
cease and
violation.
desist, yes, he's in violation
Okay.
of that.
Is there fines associated?
Yeah, it would be under the zoning ordinance,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Has that been enforced?
DEP is involved in all this.
DP, CC.
Even though that's our ordinance?
Pardon?
Even though that's our ordinance, township ordinance?
Well, it's in negotiations and stuff too. I mean, just like with the Ward property, with the sewer.
This was before,
Yeah.
before any of that. We're not gonna drag the courts into this. This was before that. This should have been stopped way back when that started. Everybody in this room knew what was going on. Nobody drives down 11 and 15 with their eyes shut. Everybody could see that pile for months and months. What has been done? Nothing.
Yeah, there was some dumping, I believe you'd called that it wasn't him that was removed, but.
Helen, do you have access to this cease and desist order?
Yeah, they're in somebody else's yard.
Did you file the cease and desist order?
CC, you're looking for as much support as you can from the agencies out there that can help you. And sometimes it's hard to get from DEP. But DEP, this time, wanted something written from us saying they're in violation.
Yeah, okay.
And I went to Lenny, and instead of it coming and drafting from this supervisor's board and us saying that, I made it come from the zoning officer. And he sent that paper and said he's definitely in violation. Now, DEP has that information in their hands that's been mailed into them from the zoning officer and from them saying that he is in violation. They weren't gonna do anything because they wanted something black and
And
white
DEP
from
also
us.
has one.
So we just now, they finally got that request from them and went through that process. And that letter that he wrote is available if you care to see it, you know, in regards to it went into them. So trying to make sure, just like
Stormwater, that's in the
all the way
stormwater.
through the word thing down there, getting support from DEP to make him comply with what he's gotta do, sometimes it gets to be a tough road to, let me tell you, it gets tough. It gets tough. You need their support to help to make things work. And so, this time, there was enough pressure put on, they didn't wanna do anything, they wanted something in writing. Whether they thought we wouldn't give it to them or not, we got it to them.
Well, that would have been also part of their permit application. Isn't there a clearance letter that comes through from the township on zoning and et cetera? I think with the permit application, they're going for a permit through DEP.
Yes, that's right.
And as part of that permit application process, I believe there's a clearance letter that they send out to the municipality asking if there's any, if they're in compliance with zoning and subdivision, et cetera, et cetera. And that letter, this will affect the permit.
That'll affect the permit, CC.
So they may not,
Because he was closing in on getting the permit.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything, what if that material is there for his use in putting in his, property? Putting in his, whatever he's putting in?
Expansion or whatever.
Yeah, because there's a lot of fill gonna have to take place down there. Might there be a variance on that?
Well, I guess, Jesse, the permit that he had, you know, on that down there was something that would have been okay if he'd have complied with what it was, but he expanded, then he got the height up there.
It's the height that's the
And
problem.
the height that's got the problem, and he exceeded all those issues, and you tried to work with the guy, you tried to get him to comply. Now he has it barricaded off and seated down there, because finally there's got a different bite. And he thought that from the conditional use hearing that he had originally, that he had approval to do whatever he wanted down there, and he was so far out of compliance, am I not correct?
That's correct.
And so, what he got approval for is nowhere close to anything what he's doing. And the other one is, it boiled down, is he conducting a business out of there? Is he buying and selling? Well, he had a sign there for a number, and so maybe he goes up there, and that was a controversial issue as to whether he's operating a business out of there or not. I'm sure that maybe some of the topsoil he was selling. but he didn't per se have an office there or something like that. One of those things to put you in a gray area as to try to tie you up. So it's went full circle, takes time. You've got to get, don't go to court and convict a felon by most of the time without having good evidence as to where he's wrong. So it's one of those things that it's at a point now that I think that this is going to affect his permit. And he's going to have to get in compliance now. I think DEP will give us some support to get that taken care of, to get it straightened out. And that's
You wanna read that?
that's as much as I can
So
tell
it's
you.
in DEP's hands right now.
That is correct. They're the ones right now that got this letter back in writing. And instead of coming from the supervisors, which Helen and I could generate this, I said, no, it needs to come from our zoning officer. And Lenny had no problem in drafting this letter, Brian, and sending it out to DEP with his signature on it. Adds a little more clout. You got the support in the back of the supervisors behind it, but it come from our zoning officer that's willing to say, yes, he's wrong.
And he's not in compliance.
And he's not in compliance, yes.
And we did send a letter to DEP.
Yes.
Yep, you have that copy
Right-
in,
Right there,
yes, that was sent out.
sent out.
Do I have that? I think I have that here. That was in, When was all this? I'd have to look on my sent file to see exactly when it was, but yeah. That should have
The
been,
discussion on that. Yeah. You're right, January the 20th.
whatever day that was,
Yeah.
is when it was sent,
Besides, when we
Brian.
had it before, he made a recommendation back to us, for us to raise it. And I felt
And have we heard anything back from DEP?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, and I don't know where they go, but when we got it back, and this came from them, their signature, which is more proper for them to go into this, they're willing to say, as the zoning officer, that he's not in compliance with the support of the supervisor, this outfit here, okay?
So the only thing that we're wanting to try to get done now is at least get that pile down.
Down.
Yes.
And whatever else he's gonna,
And then everything else comes later, we just need him to come in compliance with
Right.
getting that pile away.
Mhm.
Whether it's leveled off there or taken somewhere else.
Below
I
20
think
feet.
Can be leveled there.
Huh?
No,
I can't be leveled there because of the stream and so many, so
I
many
don't know how
other.
much room he has to spread.
He does if he has permission to do it, but he doesn't, he doesn't, so it has to.
So he has to haul it away.
It has to go.
It has to haul away. Below the 20 feet.
Yeah. Which is about 80.
So he tries to delay it until he gets the permit.
Right.
that's what he's trying to do right now.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, that's realistic.
Is that everything on the Linker Stormwater Review Police Report?
He has a copy of our, we're in the process now of upgrading our computer system, so we will have access from our vehicles to all our computer system in-house.
You want copies?
We're also looking into printers in the cars too, so we can print exchange forms and anything that's needed to give to the public. And we did hire Josh Goodwin last month, and he's in the process of working with us.
Any questions for the police department? Yes, Dan?
The computer system, you said, that you work in the police car?
Yes.
Send that via, whatever you call it, so.
Well, it actually would be, we'd be accessing the system from the car, so we'd actually be doing the work inside. It wouldn't be done in the car and sent there, it would actually, we'd just be transmitting to back.
Wi-Fi back and forth.
Well, we have cellular connection, but if we do have access to Wi-Fi anywhere, it does take over from the
Question on your radios, I asked you this before. Tonight, just before I came here, I heard the girl going to a call in town. And she got on the scene, tried to get a hold of the base to let them know that she was there. You were hardly here. Base finally said, give me a call. And this is in Square Down Canyon. I know before Henry said, well, we're talking Purdy, we're talking Square Down Canyon. I couldn't hear it at the house, Base couldn't hear it. I mean, what is the issue with the radios?
Well, it all depends. I mean, there's a repeater in the vehicle, so if you're out of the vehicle, it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're away or your signal's blocked by a building or something, to get to the vehicle, to then go to base. And they're upgrading the radio system.
I guess my thing is, if I work for the police department in Penn Township, I'd be scared as hell to be out there in the building, walking into a building with whatever's going on, nobody can hear me. Your radio hanging on your shoulder, it's gotta be using, trying to dial a cell phone, and you're in trouble. I mean, I'm no officer, but it just, I don't know, I guess in my brain sometimes I just think, as an officer, what kind of trouble can they get into because they can't use the radio?
And that's why we have cell phones too.
I understand that.
And we give them as much.
It could be the way technology, the radio too. I know a lot of people don't pull the mic off the thing, they just talk and key it up, or they have the mic on the side and they just keep it there instead of putting it makes a difference.
And sometimes I don't think she carries the mic, and she could just push the button and yell, It all depends how radio etiquette is too. But there's repeaters in the vehicles
So if you ever hear it on the scanner, how it sounds distorted, they have to let go, it's like muffled and distorted, that's when you're on the repeater. The fire company's the same way.
You can always hear the fire company, though, I mean, fire company comes through loud and clear anytime. Police department, you can always hear them.
Yeah, that's why we use the cells quite a bit too.
Big loud.
Deeper voices.
They're loud, big voices, okay. All right, thank you.
I looked into actually putting a tower up here, because we are on the hill, and putting a repeater up here, which then would cover actually the entire borough. And then it was designed more or less for our bike riders too, because they're farther away from the vehicles than they are in the cars. But, and they're looking into that, our radio guys.
And like he said too, the county's looking on replacing their whole radio system
Right.
based on a grant, so do we really want, fire companies in the same situation, do we really want to go out and update our radios because they may be obsolete in a year?
Yeah, so the county does.
Yep.
And that's all through grants too.
Right. Thank you.
Now with the county upgrading does that grant money cover to help our townships?
Oh, yeah.
Upgrade your
They put
radios
in,
and fire
they put
department?
in for all the police departments, and I think the fire departments, and they put in also, and it's all in one big pool.
One big pool, okay. So we don't have
I
to
mean,
go
it's
it, so we don't have to go it alone.
It's millions of dollars that the county is putting out for this. It's a pretty good system. And with our land the way it is too around here, it's bad.
Is there a, year, I've got I picked them up out here. Is there a year-end total on this piece? This is just January, but I didn't see one
January, yeah, I
that covered
didn't,
the.
we don't put that on, Helen usually
Yeah.
puts this in.
No, but I can get it. And probably it's on the November one. That's when the money comes in for December, you give me the November report.
Well, it'd be the
Oh, yeah.
money that comes in December.
Yeah.
For the year.
I can get that for you, Jody.
Okay, thank you.
Solicitor's report, tax sheet update.
He didn't contact me
Okay.
on it.
Now, yesterday I had a conversation with Solicitor Wagner, and he was, had a viewing to go, a death in the family, wasn't sure. So I was aware that if he wasn't here, that's where he was at tonight. There wasn't that much on, but that's in regard to the tax sheet update down here. So at the present time, why we're, that's the reason for his absence today, and he called and let me know that yesterday. Although he said he would try to get here tonight, in regards to that. Permit report before you.
You have the December 2014 And I gave you the yearly building permit. I don't know where the zoning permit went, but you got the yearly reports for all the others.
Okay. Correspondence, PP&L electric email.
Okay, this was an email from PP&L regarding the CFL recycling program. They're asking basically if we would want them to come in and set up a program with our people for recycling of the CFL's lights.
Okay. I read that information here earlier today and looked at it. We had, some time ago, there was a request for us to
I think it was
place,
last year.
a couple of years,
Yeah,
longer than that,
yeah.
for, make a depository out there for those bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it ended up, we were the ones that attend to them, empty them, and everything else. This is a little bit different than that. They'd like to see that out there. I'm not sure that it could be put outside for fear of making the open drop, for fear what else you'd find out in that drop with, to deal
Just
with.
for the CFL.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Jesse.
There's a lot of fluorescent tubes
Yes.
that need, since Vietnam, they don't crash them and make people walk on them anymore.
Nail them.
But that would be, is there a cost to it from PPL?
There's nothing in here that says, they just want to know whether you want to, part of stewardship to the environment, we're looking to expand our CFL recycling program to include locations like ours. It's an indication that it's their program, but they need a location, Jesse, to put
I
them.
wouldn't want it outside though.
No,
No, no, no.
that's the problem.
You're gonna
That-
find dead cats and
Everything else there. That was what we were worried about before when we had that. And to put this type of stuff with broken bulbs in their environment where the employees are becomes another thing. I think we had insurance look at it and everything else that time when we considered that and turned it down.
Basically, it's do you want them to come and talk to you or not?
Yeah.
It says
What's
free of
the
charge.
board? Well, you wanna,
Well, it's worth checking into, as long as it's not a cost for us, it's convenience for our residents. And again, you know, what do we have to do to maintain or whatever, so there's some questions. So, at least entertain a conversation with them.
okay. Do I hear that in the form of a motion? We notify them and let them, to that effect?
Yeah, make a motion that we contact, respond back to PP&L, maybe for them to come and entertain a visit for question and answer.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. So ordered. Duncannon Fire Police.
They are asking for a donation.
Mhm.
They need to replace some equipment such as coats, vests, batteries, some new signage for traffic control. They're not stating a number and value.
Do we know if the?
They help us out a lot with our traffic direction and stuff, down trees and, you know, waiting for tow trucks and accidents, and they stay around until we don't need them anymore.
In the past, we had donated to them, but we haven't received any requests in the past several years,
Yeah.
so we didn't offer a donation.
And we have a contribution category that has $100 in it for something like this.
In the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since it's early in the year, we might have more requests. I move we give them $50.
I'm sorry, what was that, Brian?
I move we give them $50. Helen says there's a budget item for $100 for contributions on non-specified contributions.
I second that motion.
Motion made with the second, we donate $50 to them. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered.
The next thing I have is a 2015 Local Partners Workshop. Let's see, what are they talking about here? Chapter 102 E&S Control, 105 Waterways Management, permits required under 102s and 105s. Maintenance or new construction for pipes and head walls and walls. That's EMS practices.
I took this information out to 2 road crews today, see if they wanted to go to that. I offered them to that for whatever it's worth and what all's involved with it. And neither one seemed to be too interested, seemed to be more worried about the weather and having to plow snow and making arrangements and not being able to make it. And of course, I offered to comment to them. I thought they were afraid they'd miss some overtime. But due to the snow, so, but they really weren't interested in it. If there's anybody else on the board would want to go to it, then they may have a factor there. I've run into that at Kansas County Convention one time because of snowstorm set to go to, and we were out on the road. Brian, I think you went last year, didn't you?
I went 2 years ago.
2 years
You
ago.
went last year, I believe.
No, I didn't.
No, this isn't the road one.
This isn't the road.
No, I know. This is the one that I went to at least 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Maybe 3.
Here's the criteria there, what they deal with, you know what I'm saying, and everything in it, so
I'll go.
You'll go?
Yep.
Okay. Brian, would you care to go also?
Yeah, that was February 26th.
No, February 19th. That's the 26th is no date.
It's no date.
2 weeks of Thursday. 3 weeks Thursday? 1, 2, 3 weeks Thursday.
2 things out here happen to that, to be truthful with you. Tom's up for call on jury duty at the time of it and can't make it. And so you don't get shorthanded out here by going yourself if he's tied up, and Steve, so.
I won't be able to do it.
Okay.
And that was the reason why they really didn't want to go.
Motion?
Okay, Brian, may I make a motion? Brian, if you want to go, make a motion that you be, Helen make the reservations and the fee of $5 be paid and attend that workshop. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion with a second.
Make clear that's Brian McGuire. not-
Yes.
Okay.
I knew which one.
All those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Aye. So ordered.
That's all I have under correspondence.
Okay. Old business, Duncannon Fire Company donations. Helen?
You guys wanted to talk about it tonight. It was tabled from the reorganizational meeting to find out Rich's opinion on Mr. Peters' motion.
Okay.
Well, with doing my research and calling PSATs, townships are allowed to, any donation, designate where they want the money to go to. Okay, that is permissible. I make the motion that we approve the donation to Duncannon Fire Department in the amount of,
Would you please put on there after you receive the proper financial report? Because that's what you do. You release the money to us after we give you our financial report.
okay, after we receive the financial report.
What amount are you?
It's what was budgeted?
Budget 65,000.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
I second the motion.
Okay.
Question?
Question.
You're just saying donate the 65 after the financial report?
Correct.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
Okay.
One
I
of
was,
the,
I was just stating that we do have the right to designate where we want it to go.
No, I just wanted to
Okay.
clarify the motion in my mind.
And we do have a gentleman's agreement between the township and the fire company that 35,000 of that goes to our building payment.
That's correct.
And the extra
Yep.
30 goes to the capital reserve for the apparatus payment.
Okay.
that's
That's
our
our-
word of mouth agreement.
That's our verbal agreement between each
verbal.
other that's honored.
Okay.
Because at the time we went to do that, we could not do that. 25,000 I wanted to keep until the build-up found out that we couldn't. 1:30 yesterday in the afternoon, I sat in Richard Wagner's office to discuss this very issue. And nowhere could he find in the township code, or anywhere, if we reviewed it there, that we can earmark this money. If it was fire tax money, you can earmark it and have more control over it, via tax. It does say in there what you're allowed to spend it for, the different items that you could spend it for. And we do have the right to have them give us a report, which they do, as what those expenditures are. But as for the earmark of it, it is only a recommendation that they use that portion of the 65,000 for their building permit, their building payment, and for the 25,000 for the what. If they choose not to do that and give a report, there's not much you can do about it.
And if that would ever come to that case, obviously, there would probably be an emergency situation behind it, and obviously, we would come forth and clear it with you beforehand.
So far, the agreement has not been violated that I know of. It's been used as to what it was said it was to be used for. There was nothing said it had to be held to agree to a certain amount. It can be used for the purchase of equipment, for a payment on a piece of equipment each year, each whatever. But you've been making your building payments off of our first.
Our building payment is, the annual payment is $34,400 and some odd dollars, and so that 35,000 covers that payment.
So that's why I said when the motion was made that we apply that directly to one thing. I questioned it, and it's in the minutes, that the legality of it needed to be cleared away. And I took that opportunity to try to make sure that we were correct in that.
Need a second?
Okay, motion's been made. Yes,
On the paper that you handed out and you give Brian a copy, could I get a copy of that?
sure, I don't think any supervisor has any opinion or anything against it. Do you? Well, it's open. As far as I'm concerned, I gave each one of them. That was my list generated
Right,
for
yeah,
them.
This is the same, and basically the same situation as you give Mr. Nace his, you give him a list.
Yes.
And I was wondering if that was gonna be brought back onto the record, how he responded to that, or where you were with that list.
Well, the response there that comes back, it's a request from me by reading reports, what I see in the report, what I don't understand in the report. That's the reason for those questions.
And I was just wondering, but
And the first one that I saw in his report was the airplane wreck.
There you go.
Where did we have that at? So I raised the question. I missed it.
Oh, we got the weather balloon.
I don't know what it was, but nevertheless, okay.
I was able to drive a fire truck that day.
Okay.
I need a second.
Okay. Motion been made. Do I hear a second?
Didn't you second?
I thought I did.
No,
Okay, I didn't hear
Motion
you.
been made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by
Okay.
saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Okay, Howard, you have this request here from,
Sesquicentennial
yes.
group. Say that one fast.
We have a request here from Frank Epley from the Duncannon Borough Centennial Committee, and asking for, the parade committee is presently advertising for participants and have no vehicle counts at present time. The parade committee is requesting the following streets and roads of Penn Township for vehicle staging if needed. Number 1, South Main Street from Sherman's Creek Bridge to the dead end. Parking will be along east side of the road on Burnham. They've done that before. Road will remain open. Number 2, Friendly Drive. Parking along side of the street. Road will remain open. Number 3, parking at Penn Township Municipal Building. This may be for car clubs or spectacular parking. spectator parking, no large vehicles to be staged at this location, only automobiles. I cautioned them when they talked about this letter. Frank mentioned it to me last night. There may be confliction with baseball at that time on that day. And so I asked Karen or Helen if we can find out from ball clubs what we might have and get a date for that so that if they're out here, they wouldn't, if there's nobody out here, they'd have the eligibility for the parking for putting in here. Number 4, parade committee plans on using the parking lot of the Audubon United Methodist Church on Route 849 as a staging area if required. This is for fire apparatus. These vehicles will be fed into the parade via Butcher Shop Road on Route 849. Thanks for your consideration on this important borough event. Problem they have is don't know how big it's going to get, do you, Craig?
No, sir.
No, sir. So we don't know how big it's going to get, so they've asked for all this information. Yeah, yes, Stanley?
You mentioned Friendly Drive.
Yes, I did.
That's actually my parking lot.
Pardon?
Yeah, that's his
That's
parking
actually my
lot.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
Is what they call business campus.
Business campus play, you're right. And I mentioned that to him last night. I said, be careful where you're going to put this, you know. But what I would like to do is make...
You can use part of my parking lot, I don't have an issue with that, but,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to vote on something, it's actually business campus way.
I think what they want to do is try to keep a straight line back along there
That's what I
to
figured, yeah.
foul out, you know?
Yeah.
And when he said that last night and talked to me about it, I thought, must be making arrangements with Stanley for the parking lot.
They can, I have no issue with that.
But I think if it gets big, you probably wouldn't have the room in there without impacting you. And they explained out along the road, so that's your request. I'd like to make a recommendation that we work with the Duncannon Borough in regards to their plans for their sesquicentennial. Some of this is up in the air, also put in that motion that we asked our police department to work with them and help maintain this and refer any and all questions back to the Board of Supervisors and our police department in regards to that. So I think it's a worthwhile thing.
Yeah, I've been working with them. And
Okay.
they need that letter for the permit, like we do for the vets and for the Legion each time that we allow them to use our roads.
So we're gonna have to put the permit into PennDOT or anything?
Well, yeah, I gave them a copy of the form and everything
Okay.
and told them to get as much information as possible if they wanted me to hand deliver
Okay.
it or finish it up, because you have to put actually specific roads and you have to put the PennDOT verbiage in there too,
Okay.
which we have because we do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I'd finish it up for them whenever they got to a point at that.
Okay? I put that in form of a motion that we work with them and concur with their request. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion made with second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay? New business, Helen.
That was a new business.
Okay? Okay. Okay, new business. Okay, anything else on the agenda?
Not for me.
Yes, Lee?
Talking about the cease and desist for the Lanker property.
Yes.
Why would something like that fall under the junkyard that's hasn't been compliant? We talked about it a couple of months ago, and you said that Rich had filed with the court.
He's talking on the ward property.
Yes.
Is there a difference between what Rich has done and a cease and desist order?
They weren't issued, I don't think.
They were not cease and desist. They were issued an injunction against that business.
And that's still laying within the courts of Perry County. Although I look for a change down there. I see the place is getting cleaned up, no junk in there. Looks like they're getting ready to move to me.
That's what I thought.
What do you think, Stanley?
I looked in there too.
Yeah, I think somebody's in the process. I know he's trying to sell the place and et cetera down there. I have one other thing underneath new business. Is there any representatives here tonight that will be willing to say that they are representative of the Perdix Fire Company? Any representatives here from Perdix Fire Company?
Yes.
Jody. You know, as a period of time goes on, there is people from Perdix and the fire company down here that have asked me, is there any way to resolve the issue at hand that's taken place? And I often said to those that mention it, could it be resolved? And I said, yes, I believe it could be resolved. Cool heads prevail, and I think anything can be worked out. And so I'm asking for the name of the president of your officers, so I'd like to put on the floor a motion here of this Board of Supervisors that we contact the president of the Perdix Fire Company to see if they were willing and would want to go back into operation within Penn Township. And the reason why I am saying that, it could be set down, revisited, take a look at. The reason why I say that, I hear that everybody says they've got money, financially they're good, they paid their trucks off. One time they had money enough to buy the Ward place down here. And do I know any of this to be true? No. But if you guys have maintained that and willing to open up your books, your financial records, show you're at, I think it'd be a smart thing to sit down and see if there isn't something that can be worked out. So the offer is there for you people to see whether you want to participate in this down here, and it's nothing that I would tell you that over the years there was nothing that was ever said to me by any other fire company to hold you out, keep you out. I always found that willingness. I heard Bob say one night, I might have to work with these fellows someday. Don't want to be at odds with them.
Hey, that's been my thought.
That's right.
I didn't with the gun game.
So, that issue's there. That issue's there.
He's
You know what I'm
not
saying?
the representative.
Pardon?
Never mind.
You didn't hear what he said.
So, you know, if I knew who your president was, I would be glad to send a letter out and extend that invitation to you.
Well, you've already done that. and
Okay.
You know I'm the president.
No, I don't know that.
Actually, yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know who your officers are, and that I don't know.
So that would officially be me.
Okay? And if there's a motion being made and a second to it, I'll follow up that with a letter to you.
That's all I can ask.
Is that a motion?
Now, that's a motion.
So your motion is that we start some type of talk, negotiation between the supervisors and the Perdix Fire Department?
Yes. Yep.
Now, will this be in a public hearing form, or is this be private negotiations and then into a public hearing?
Well,
I mean, when I say private, of course, we're gonna have to have the attorneys involved.
what's that?
I said if it's private, then we have to have the attorneys involved and probably the court system for the negotiation, because it's in the court system. So
Why don't we do what we did last night and keep it informal and sit down and let somebody from each side, by golly, throw out their airs where they're at to hear what's being taken place. It happened last night and it worked. I thought it worked, didn't you, Greg?
I thought it was productive.
It was productive, yes.
So in a public forum or in a
No,
private forum?
in a private forum at first. You have to get back to the revisiting of some of these old issues that were out there. They'll have to be discussed, they have to be resolved, and if they can't, it would eventually involve another fire company, and if cool heads prevail, that can be done. I sat through many a fire study meeting when there was other people involved, and I was the only one that attended all of them for years. And felt powerless sitting there at those meetings that only one person was there and you couldn't do nothing about it to move it ahead.
Can you read back the motion? Just.
I make a motion that as chairman of this board, I would like to send a letter from this township to the president of Perdix Fire Company, asking them whether they're willing to respond back to us that they're willing to sit down and talk about future negotiations, by golly, for working towards resolution to their service down there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I second that because I believe that it's time for us to hand an olive branch, and let's take one more step in securing and the safety and welfare of our community. It's time for us to put this to rest for our citizens. I second.
Okay, motion made with a second. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you, Jody.
Where's Bob?
He's in the hallway.
Second motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
make a motion, we adjourn. All
I
those in
second.
favor, second, all those in favor give their consent by saying aye. Ayes have it, so ordered.
I'm so glad you came.
Yeah. I was gonna say, gosh, you know, Jerry.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's mine.
Yeah. Before you leave, so Rosa, I want to read over what we've got on Laker. You have a separate Laker file? Is that it there? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Her and Bob, the only one that